Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 6th season of the Next Gen Racing Touring Car Championship, as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, fresh off of the heels of what was Season 5 only 6 weeks ago, we are back for an all-new instalment of the ever-popular and ever-increasingly in-demand Touring Car Racing Class Championship, and well, where better to go touring car racing than the NXTCC, alternatively the sim racing equivalent of the real-life BTCC. We're now into our 6th season. This is a season that's hyped to be even better than Season 5. And when we say it season after season, the fact we're going to new frontiers and beyond. But you better believe it this season. There's plenty new in store and also many a continuation from the previous seasons. And we're bringing the best of the past seasons together. Plus also some new rules for this season. And all between is going to lead to an absolutely brilliant story of 10 weeks of racing. And more on that very shortly as we welcome you all to this post-round broadcast of round number 1. That's right, we're taking a look back at all the racing action from round 1 of 10 of the Silverstone circuit, particularly the Silverstone National Circuit here today. Unfortunately, the broadcast could not be brought live as of the Tuesday just gone, that being what was Tuesday the 12th of March due to scheduling reasons. But don't worry, we've got you covered. You're going to be seeing all the racing actions if it were live from Silverstone. And well, welcome to this broadcast today. And if you were one of the racers who took part in the race at Silverstone, we do ask politely that you avoid any potential spoilers in our free respective chats. Speaking of which, we have free chats available, and this broadcast is being output to free streaming platforms. Firstly, you could be tuning in via one of the 2 official Next Gen Racing media platforms. The first one being at YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for Next Gen Racing. And welcome to you guys and girls on YouTube, including none other than Alex Meredith and also Harley Phonic. And good evening to you guys, and I hope you're both doing well. Alternatively, you could be tuning via other official media platform. That's on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/NextGen Racing, and welcome to you guys on Facebook. And last but not least, of course, we have the ever faithful unofficial broadcast on Twitch at twitch.tv/TX141, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via Twitch. And well, who is TX141, I hear you ask? Well, allow me to introduce myself. I'm your host and commentator, back for the 6th season of this series. My name is Paul Walsh, also known as TX141 or Britain a Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. Now we're bringing you all your racing action over the entirety of this season, and we're very grateful as part of the Next Gen Racing team to bring you all the racing coverage. But speaking of our schedule for today, times in Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, or Universal Coordinate Time, UTC, has been seen in just under 18 minutes time. We'll be going into the first qualifying session of the season, after which we will be taking a quick run into the grid for our first race of the day. We've got our 3 races around, 3 sprint races around as always, all of them approximately 20 minutes in duration without any safety cars, but they could run all the way out towards 30 minutes if needed due to a safety car, and all 3 of our races being 18 laps today, and the first one kicking off at 8:15, after which we'll be taking a brief breather before returning just before 9 o'clock for the build-up to race number 2. After race number 2, once again, we'll be taking a quick breather, but not without our reverse grid draw. Indeed, changes to reverse grids as of this season, more on that very shortly, and then we'll be returning for race number 3 just before 10:45 this evening to wrap up the racing at Silverstone. And it's a splendid day here at the British circuit, no doubt about it, when ambient temperature 26 degrees centigrade and the track temperature currently at 37 degrees centigrade, when it's a lot warmer than it is in real life. I can definitely tell you that. No signs of rain on the horizon. Rain has arrived in iRacing, but not to the touring car racing class as of yet. We expect it's going to be coming in the coming months. You never know what could happen. And well, let's talk a little bit about our calendar for this season. For as we can see, we do have what is the 10 rounds of racing ahead of us. And well, we start the journey today on the 12th of March 2024 at the Silverstone National Circuit in the United Kingdom. And well, for this season, we're only making one visit to the United Kingdom. Indeed, the home of our title sponsor for this series. They continue to sponsor us for another season of the NXTCC, and that be IMB Racewear. As you can see the logo at the bottom of your screen. And do check them out if you're looking for some absolutely fantastic sim racing or real-life team racewear. We can't recommend anybody else other than IMB Racewear. And well, when we leave Silverstone today, we're making our way over to Italy for the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, a circuit that returns much like the Silverstone National Circuit. Indeed, having been featured so far twice on our championship calendars, we're going back there once again on the 19th of March for what will be the layout of the circuit without its first chicane. Then we're making our way down under to Australia for the Sandown International Motor Raceway, and well, you all know and loved it when we saw it in Season 3, and what a round of racing we had in Season 3. Indeed, the tight and absolutely clusterful circuit on the 20 26th of March, we're going to be seeing our drivers get their elbows out. That's a guarantee. Then we're making our way to Spain, and for the first time in the NXTCC's history, our drivers will be taking on the touring car layout and the Motorland Aragon circuit, or the Circuito de Alcañiz as it's also known. On the 2nd of April, you're going to be in store for a circuit that's absolutely ram-packed with direction changes, and come the end, those front tyres are going to squeal. And then we wrap up the first half of the season with making our way to the United States of America for the one and only Long Beach Street Circuit in the state of California. And on the 9th of April, it's going to be a street race as they roar their way past the fountain. Indeed, who's going to be cooling off going into that mid-season break on a high? We'll have a week's break and then we'll return, staying in the United States of America, and it will be at the one and only Watkins Glen International Circuit on the 23rd of April. The circuit was heavily cambered corners and long straightaways. And then we're making our way back to Italy for a debutante and recently introduced the iRacing platform, that being the Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. And we'll be seeing our drivers take on the circuit. The Italian circuit is absolutely brimming with elevation changes, corners, you name it, it's got it, and that'll be on the 30th of April. And then we're making our way into May for our final 3 rounds, starting off at the Hockenheimring Baden-Württemberg circuit, the Grand Prix circuit playing host on the 7th of May. And we make our way back to Australia once again for the Oran Park Raceway on the 14th of May, and that'll be our penultimate round, and what a tight circuit, and we'll be reviving it from the grave. The circuit that's going to make its first ever debut in the NXTCC, although we featured it in our Clio Cup series, albeit back in 2023. And then we're bringing everything to a close at the Daytona International Speedway on the road course on the 21st of May. And a first time there as well to see our drivers take on the Daytona International Speedway. So we've got quite a few new venues on the calendar this season, but also some returning favourites. And well, we couldn't ask for a better combination. But let's come to our circuit for today. And of course, it is the national layout of the Silverstone circuit, located near the town of Silverstone in Northamptonshire, the county of England in the United Kingdom. And as we can see from the circuit map provided by iRacing.com, thank you to iRacing for their brilliant track maps and the fantastic simulator that comes with it. Well, this circuit only 6 corners in length, one of the shortest circuits on our calendar, only 1.64 miles in length. And well, whilst it may be short and whilst it may look simple, well, simplicity belies the fact that this is going to be a circuit where it's nearly impossible to feel safe and be able to break away from your rivals. In the fact we have 3 extended straights, 4 major heavy braking zones, and all in between it, although drivers will be absolutely eager to go battling from corner to corner and straight to straight in the hope of victory. And this is definitely going to be a round of racing that's going to separate what will be at the leading stars at the front of the field from those who will be chasing them over the course of it. Indeed, we could be seeing some early favourites already. But now coming on to our rules, because there's plenty else that's new this season when it comes to our rules. And firstly, you may be noticing some red text, and that is what's changed for this season. Setup wise, it's a fixed setup series as always, with all setups provided by the NXTGEN Racing Administration ahead of each and every round. And driver class wise, this season we see the introduction of a 3rd drivers class. You all asked for it, drivers and spectators alike, and we listened and we've heard you. We are introducing the AM class. Now you've got drivers competing in the overall championship, particularly the pros. You've also got the Pro-Am championship, and you've also got the AM championship, with the idea being the AMs are drivers who are rookies in the touring car racing class machine, or not quite on the pace, or yet to find their feet, and it gives them greater motivation to be able to compete and go for glory and look one day to become a Pro-Am and eventually on their journey to becoming a pro. So therefore we're going to be looking to crown our AM champion, our inaugural AM champion, come the end of this season. And could we see some AMs shy high today? We look forward to seeing that. And driver classes shall be finalised as always at the conclusion of round 3, and that gives us a little bit of time to make sure drivers are in the right class, just in case any have been misplaced. Now, sprint race-wise, the Race 1 grid, as always, will be set based on results of qualifying. So the pole sitter in qualifying starts on pole for Race 1, and we set the order of the grid accordingly. But Race 2, we're going back to our classic format that we used to use, which is the Race 2 grid shall be set based on results of race number 1. It won't be a partial reverse grid from P6 to P12, as drawn from the commentary booth, but instead it will be set exactly as how they finished in race number 1. So the winner of Race 1 starts on pole for race number 2, and we work the grid order accordingly. And race number 3, don't fret if you love the reverse grid racing, because we do here in the commentary booth. It's one of the highlights of this series that you can't find anywhere else. Race 3's grid shall still be that partial reverse grid based on results of race number 2. The reversal position being drawn from between 13th and 23rd from the commentary booth. Indeed, we'll be cutting to the commentary booth and doing the lottery bowl draw, albeit for the purpose of this broadcast, it was done by our administrators, and we'll be calling out the number in the interlude period. So therefore, we're talking a little bit about that. And also on top of that, as always, our drivers will have one fast repair available in each race, and each race shall conclude after either the allotted lap lap amount of 18 laps today or 30 minutes, whichever expires first. Now, continuing with the theme of rules race stewarding, we continue to have an independent race director stewarding the races for track limit infringements and deployment of the safety car, and penalties will be as follows. So that's pesky track limits. The first and second warnings, there's no penalty. The third warning, it's 5 seconds post-race time penalty. We double that to 10 on your fourth warning, and on your fifth warning, it's a drive-through penalty, which will be absolutely punishing. And drive-through penalties must be served within 3 laps, and all racing incidents may all be reviewed post-round. But more importantly, coming on to success ballast. And well, this season, success ballast is going to be applied on a race-by-race basis, much like last season, and that'll be overall in the Prime class, and also the AM class will see its own success ballast table. More on that very shortly. And for qualifying in race 1, the success ballast shall be applied based on the championship standings prior to the round. So this round, going into qualifying in race 1, there is no success ballast because we don't have any championship standings. So that means everybody is equal on the grid for the first 2 sessions of today, and that always leads to the big question: who has the bragging rights to the only pole position where everyone is technically equal in their cars, and that race 1 win? And will Mikey Doble, who is returning as of this season, well, he's normally the one to take those bragging rights, having done so in the last 3 seasons. Race number 2 will see the success ballast start to be applied based on the finishing positions of race 1, and we do the same again for race number 3 based on the finishing positions of race number 2. But how do the weights look, I hear you ask? Well, here they are. Our table's been revised, and as you can see there, reading from left to right, from 1st through to 10th, the overall ballast and the prime ballast are exactly the same as they were in Season 5, but in the AM class, we will be seeing our leader take 24.5 kilograms, our second place driver in the AM class taking 16.6 kilograms, and in third place are 8.7 kilograms going to that third place driver. And we should point out that if any driver in the Prime or the AM class should be in a position whereby they could pick up with success ballast in the overall finishing positions as well, they will take the greater of the 2 success ballast values applicable to them, and that way they can't game the system. But that's the success ballast, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough rules, regulation, everything between. You're all here for the racing, and so are we. And well, we do look to a circuit side here, in particular to one Mikey Doble, and we say 1 because of the fact he's running a new door number for this season. He's opted to change from his classic 88 to what is the number 1 door number in representation of the fact he's a 3-time overall NXTCC Drivers Champion, and where he's looking to go for his 4th title as of this season, and will all the pressure will be on him, no doubt. And well, if he makes one through for Doble at Sim Racing, where you can imagine he'll be absolutely eager and all score and looking to go for gold today. But will he be able to start off strong, given the fact we mentioned only moments ago, in these season opening rounds, he's normally the driver who always does pick up that maiden pole position of the season, and with it as well the race 1 win, and he always does have a habit of chasing those more than anything else for the simple reason it is the ultimate parity race. But as he makes his way on down into turns 2 and 3, we look to Wojciech Swierdowicz, the runner-up from the overall Drivers' Championship last season. The Semper Racing driver is back, and whereas Mikey Doble stayed with his venerable Veloster, Swierdowicz has moved away from the Hyundai Elantra and gone to the Audi RS3 LMS. And I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, about Wojciech Swierdowicz. Firstly, he gave it everything on his debut season last season, and he was unfortunate to come up short, but that's the way it went. But also, the first time I ever had the chance to watch this man race in touring car racing class machinery, it was in the Alpha Touring Challenge, and he was in the Audi, and he absolutely dominated in the classes he raced in back in those days. And well, I think he's gone back to his roots, because I have heard that's where he started his journey in the Audi RS3, and we look forward to seeing what he can do in the classic machine, the oldest touring car machine on the iRacing grid. However, those are the 2 stalwarts of the overall and the pro class classification. And well, let's talk a little bit about further down the order, including what is the return to racing for our previous Prime champion. He's in the Prime class once again, Isaac Doble, the Doble Sim Racing driver who absolutely led the field in what was the second half of the season in Season 5, and he'll be feeling confident that he can make it 2 crowns back to back. And well, he's going to have tough competition facing him, of course, with the likes of many a returnee driver, including what is Daniel Dannon from Goldwing Motorsport. Indeed, the team that you could argue was the most unfortunate of all the teams when it came to the inconsistently good bad luck that was striking them. Good for their rivals, but not good for them. Indeed, Daniel Dannon and Sam Veloz, the 2 drivers who felt it the most out of all the drivers on the grid. We talked about drivers who are returning. Let's talk about some drivers who are new on the grid, or you could argue returning but new for this season. And here's one of them. He switched away from what was his previous team of RD Sim Sport, and he's racing for NXTGEN this season. season. It's Alex Meredith. After having to take some time out midway through season 5 and missing the second half of the season, the 44 driver is back and well looking to go for green racing today and looking to go hunting down what will be his first prime wins of the season in the Hyundai Elantra, the car that he'll never let go. But he heads on through, and meanwhile we do need to introduce what is our new class to the grid, but not without introducing some new drivers in the prime class, and here is one of them for Semper Racing in the 99. He's going to be racing representing the country of Poland. It is no other than Sławomir Jarowski, and well, the 99 driver here from Semper Racing, I've been hearing great things about him in the prime class in the pre-season build-up, and well, much like some of his teammates including Piotr Jegoslewski, we're looking forward to seeing what he can do, and the two in the prime class are going to be bringing it all to the table for Semper Racing. But as he makes his way on down towards turns 2 and 3, well, we do also look to the AM class. And how can you tell if a driver is in the AM class? Well, let's use newcomer Kieran Smart as the example here. The Track Scotland driver, new to the grid for the NXTCC at Season 6. Lovely livery on the car, I must say, bring the Scottish flag to life. And well, the way you can tell is you'll see on what is their windshield banners, they do have a red AM title that's on the banner. But if you can't see the banner, well, you can always notice that in the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, and also the driver details in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, we do have there what is a blue sash, and that represents the AM drive. So remember, it is green for Pro, it is pink stroke purple for what is Pro Am, and it is blue for AM. And well, if you remember that, you're going to be absolutely sorted. But as Kieran Smart makes his way on around here and up towards what will be the start-finish line, he's new to the grid, and we do have a number of drivers from Track Scotland competing in this season, and we look forward to seeing how the Scottish team get on. But as he makes his way on around, we also do need to introduce here Patrick Falconer for JW Motorsport, a very popular team on the grid. Indeed, many of you will know the likes of Reece Watt and also Ian Manners, but Patrick Falconer has joined us officially for this season, and we're looking forward to seeing what he is going to be able to do as he makes his way on down towards what is turn number 4 and looks to give it all today. And will he be able to do so? That's the big question in terms of pull off the results that he would absolutely like to do. Well, he makes his way on around here and onwards towards what will be another practice lap. We're only 4 minutes away from green flag racing, ladies and gentlemen, as Patrick Falconer makes his way on towards the timing line. Of course, qualifying in the first session that comes up. Let's introduce some other drivers. We've also got Stuart Winers here, the Track Scotland driver, another member of the Track Scotland family. Livery not currently loaded on the car, but I suspect that will be corrected when we do head in to qualifying. We always do have the occasional glitch with iRacing replay files. It's the name of the game, but as he makes his way on around there in the number 61, we look forward to seeing how he, alongside his teammates, do get on. We also do have none other than what is Akram Zanoon making his way onto the grid here for the organisation, and as he makes his way on around and onwards towards what will be at turn number 1. Well, the 139 driver feeling good today and running in the Audi RS3, and well, the organisation, a new team on the grid for the purposes of this season, and we're looking forward to seeing what they can do, given the fact that they've been quite tight-lipped. They've had to shuffle a couple of their drivers around every so often, and with that, it does mean that we've had a mixture of drivers who have signed up. Then you're going to be seeing Akram alongside some of his teammates interchange over the course of the season there. But keep in mind, of course, we did have a full grid of sign-ups, all 60 slots being filled up, and then we had 4 reserves. So therefore, we have got plenty of drivers who are very eager to go chomping at the bid. And I suspect we may see some new names as the season unfolds, as is the way, of course. But well, as well, we do normally have a very high attendance over the course of the season. 51 drivers in attendance here today, which is absolutely fantastic. And we have another newcomer in the AM class here for Verano Motorsport in the Hyundai Veloster, and it is number 94's Kevin Smith here. And as he makes his way on through his turn number 3, new to the touring car racing class machine, as I'm to understand it. Indeed, most of his racing has previously been done in GT3s, so therefore moving away from where's rear-wheel drive and typically front-engine or mid-engine cars to front-engine, front-wheel drive, and we'll have to look forward to see what Kevin Smith can do in the AM class, indeed embodying the spirit of the AM class, which is all about learning the touring car racing class alongside some close rivals who are going to be in a similar position to you, and giving it all in order to be able to try and become a prime and at the same time take your maiden championship crown. As he weaves his way into the pit lane there at short notice, I think a late call from the team. We also have Darren Ills as he makes his way on through for Ace of Spades Racing. Some of you will remember Darren from what was the Clio Cup series that we did host back in 2023. A very fast driver in that in the prime class, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do in the AM class here, giving up the capabilities vertices of the grid. And Ace of Spades Racing at field in the team today. And as he makes way through turn 1 down towards turns 2 and 3, we do notice that some of our drivers' photos are not loading in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. We're going to take a look at that in between the races and see if we can fix that. If not, we'll definitely get that fixed for the purposes of what is round number 2 next Tuesday. All of our rounds, bar this round, being brought live from circuit side, we should point out. But as Eels makes his way on down the back stretch, most of our drivers now into the pit lane, I think getting themselves all set and ready to go. And we are only a minute away from qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got plenty more drivers to introduce, including what is Shane Piggott, another member of the Ace of Spades Racing team. He's going to be racing in the Prime class for this season. And as he makes his way into turns 2 and 3, onto the brakes here, as he cuts off the run towards Maggots into Beckett's. Of course, we don't run that as part of the national layout. And as he roars his way on through the right-hander and onto the back straight here, Piggott as well, a very strong driver in his own right, and also knows exactly how fast and firm he can be when it comes to battling. And therefore, it's going to be interesting to see just how he gets on as we do go racing today. But we take a look in the chats once again, and we do say hello in the Facebook chat. That's John and Meredith. Good evening to you, John. I hope you're doing well. We also say hello there to Craig Tillison, also to Handsome Stew. It's always great to see Handsome Stew in the YouTube chat. He's looking good as always, and well, with that, we're feeling good as a result. We also say hello to D Delta there, and also to Jamie Dory. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step away for a brief moment in preparation for qualifying, and we'll be back in less than 30 seconds. And when we get back, it's time to go racing. And without further ado, as we return there, it's go for qualifying. The first qualifying session of the season. All the drivers in cars are empty of any success bars, and they're all immediately piling out the pit lane as quickly as they can. Now, just to explain why we had to briefly step away there in terms of transition from practice to qualifying, every so often we do find that with iRacing replay files, when we go from practice to qualifying, that time and down left-hand side of your screen, it can have a bit of a habit of showing all the lap times set by drivers at the very end of their qualifying session before they even done their outlap. So we just had to step away as a quick safety measure to make sure that we were able to skip into qualifying without seeing all those times, because we don't want the spectacle spoiled. Indeed, if you guys are girls at home who don't know how it all plays out, and I indeed in the commentary booth do not know who's the fastest driver out there in practice, albeit practice has just occurred, or in qualifying or going into the races, and we don't want any spoilers where we can. And we do appreciate you guys and girls in the chat who did race in the races earlier on this week, not giving away any spoilers, and it's much appreciated there. But coming away from the broadcast layout to in terms of how our drivers are going to look to go for pole position here today, as we do welcome to the grid Marcel Fritsch from WS Racing Esports, another newcomer here, normally racing in Porsche Cup 992 machinery. And I've had the pleasure of seeing Marcel Fritsch race the Porsche Cup over the best part of what has been 6 seasons of racing in other series. And well, as he makes his way on through today, we're looking forward to seeing how he gets on in the touring car racing class machine. To do well here and take pole at Silverstone National, it's just as much about finding a toe as it is about being fast over a lap in your own air. In the fact that around this circuit of only 6 corners, you need to absolutely hammer the throttle. You've got to be flat out from corner to corner in each and every run. You've got to be as late as possible on the brakes. How having a little bit of a toe is not going to hurt you. It's going to help you massively. And it could be worth the best part of what is 4 tenths of a second, if not more, if you're able to time the toe at the perfect time. And as you can see there in number 11 behind Fritz, that's none other than, I do believe, what is there, the car of Joseph Doble. And, well, just getting a bit too close for comfort there as he carves his way in amongst all the drivers. And where it is going to be an absolute traffic jam out there, given the fact you've got 51 cars sandwiched into the best part of 1.64 miles. You don't need to get a calculator out to do the mathematics, but it is an absolutely tiny amount of space for each and every driver. And that is before they can even give themselves the breathing room to try and put a lap together. But as they do, and we say good morning to Daniel Fritz in the YouTube chat, of course tuning in from Australia, I do believe, and racing in this series. And well, we see him here in the Whiskey Runners racing machine in the very colourful Hyundai Elantra, I must say, absolutely loving that livery. And well, he's put in the effort to get up nice and early in the morning Australia time to go racing, and we love to see it, and we love to see his car out there on the grid as he makes his way in towards turn number 5 as he comes on through at the right hander here, with it being just as much about the toe as it is about being quick under braking and return to full throttle, while drivers already putting their first laps on the board. And Adam Delmont currently your provisional pole sitter on a 101.709, but I suspect we're going to be seeing a low 101 before the end of this qualifying session as the SRL NXTGEN driver making his way through turn 4 into 5, and as he he rolls his way from left into right and coming on out of the corner. More time starting to appear on the time tower, including what is that time for Benjamin McCluskey, which takes the provisional pole there of a 101.504. But Akram Zanoun immediately responding, and all those times very quickly all stacking up time after time once again. And all the drivers right now absolutely giving it everything in order to be able to try and go for that pole position. But I think it's going to come down to the very last moments of this qualifying session. That is when you're going to be seeing the ultimate times around here. I don't think anyone's going to be able to get it said and done over the course of what will be the first 5 minutes of qualifying. Indeed, we have seen it previously when we've gone qualifying here at Silverstone National. It is all down to those very fine margins, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the top 30 separated by less than a second at the end of it, given the fact that right now it's only just over 9 tenths to what is at P30. In fact, it's less than that now. It's 8.5 tenths as Harley Bicknell is demoted down to P32. And speaking of Harley Bicknell, well, he's one of the drivers who was in the prime class last season and absolutely put together a brilliant string of performances towards the end of the season, notching a couple of top 5s as well in class. He's going to be one of the leading contenders, we believe, in the AM class for the purposes of this season. And the JW Motorsport team fielding the Hyundai Elantra with him behind the wheel once again, and we're looking forward to seeing how he gets on. But as he makes his way towards turn number 1, we do have a few more drivers to introduce, and well, those drivers do include what is, I do believe, none other than Mark Redford here, new to the grid for this season in what is the 738, and we're looking forward to how the Honda Civic Type R driver gets on in the Japanese machine, the old FK8 machine, being replaced in touring car racing as of this year by the FL5 variant. And I do wonder if it will be arriving in iRacing sometime in the near future. And what Honda have argued to be, or many believe that it's going to be Honda's last ever dedicated IC or internal combustion engine Civic Type R. And indeed, that is going to be a moment in history if so. And can Redford make history today in the Prime class? We also do have in the Prime class Jack Bolton here in the Hello Kitty machine, and well, absolutely colourful liveries. We see a flash of lights there from one of the NXTGEN Racing Pink drivers. I think trying to ask what is one of the 40 Motorsport drivers to step aside, but I think they're a bit of miscommunication. The Morse code not quite going through. You can see Bolton meanwhile doing a bit of weaving from side to side in order to get some tyre temperature, and also just back himself off slightly from cars in front. But there we had a bit of an incident. In fact, multiple cars getting it wrong, one going sideways, and I think that's Riley Sheringham in fact, as we do see where Jack Bolton going a bit wide and rejoining gradually. And well, that's what happens when drivers start to step on each other's toes. It immediately leads to a traffic jam, and it can all go wrong in the space of where it's only 1 or 2 corners. But as they roar the way out now and on towards the timeline, we're still bolting off race line as a practically 3 wide. You'd think they're racing here as they come through Woodcock Corner, and they're not. They're just trying to find some space in qualifying, and we've still got the best part of what is 9 minutes of qualifying plus the final flying laps to account for here, ladies and gentlemen. So still plenty on at the cards, as we also welcome to the grid Tom Anderson, and well, he's going to be racing for Performance Lane Esports, absolutely galvanised by the presence of his teammates who've raced in this series in the past. And we look forward to seeing how he gets on here as he races alongside what will be his teammate, I do believe, of what is, unless I'm very much mistaken, as his name does escape me, but it's not Jonathan Collins, but it is a Jonathan of some description. But as we do see Tom Anderson making his way on down the back straight, we're looking forward to seeing how he gets on today. And well, I think he might be at the, in fact it's Russell Fowler. I'm not quite sure why I've got a Jonathan on the brain when it comes to Performance Link Esport, but Russell Fowler being his teammate, and here is Russell Fowler, albeit you can see there in the Audi RS3 LMS. He comes down into turns at 2 and 3, and onto the brakes he goes there, and tucked in behind Luciano Bitford. And Bitford just in front of him there in the Hyundai Veloster, bringing the Veloster to the table once again and looking to go even higher after what was a relatively good debut season in Season 5, albeit not without some difficulty in the mid-portion of the season. And well, there you can see him in the number 60 just in front while Performance Link Esports drives. He breaks the wound down in towards turn 4. I think he'll be looking to have a bit more of a consistent season. He knows he could be a championship contender. We saw that pace to him in Season 5, but will he be able to put it together? That will be the question that confounds him. As we get towards the midway point of this qualifying session, I think it's only fair we start to consider what would be an onboard lap from one of our drivers. And well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's only fair that we do get an onboard lap with one of our defending champions for the purposes of this season. And we are going to try and get an onboard lap very shortly with none other than what will be Jamie Dory, the team leader at NXTGEN Racing Pink, the team's champions for Season 5. And as he makes his way out of the final corner, coming out of turn number 5, the final major corner in towards the kink of 6, we ride on board with Jamie Dory for a flying lap of the Silverstone National Circuit in the Audi RS3. So full throttle all the way up towards the timeline and get ready to lift the car over to the left hand side. breaking his way into Cops Bend, fifth gear, holding it all the way through. Higher gearing ratio in the Audi mean you need to stay in a higher gear as he makes his way out of turn 1 now, down towards turns 2 and 3. Coming into the left into right here, it's all about braking on the apex of turn number 2. Braking approximately 100 meters to corner apex of 3, going for a nice late apex, down 2 gears to third. Now full throttle as he exits the corner, balancing up where's the throttle versus the understeer in the car as he makes his way up towards turns 4 and 5. And as he builds his way up to speed, will he touch 6th gear at this point? He may do, as he gets ready. He's coming into the braking zone, back staying in 5th gear, braking at 60 meters from corner apex, a very late apex once again, getting the top while the iRacing esports machines. 3rd gear and then into 4th as he now shuffles his way into turn 5 and having to balance the gears. They're dropping from 4th to 3rd and now back on the throttle as he exits out, short shifting up to 4th gear as now makes his way in towards what will be the final corner. And as he does so, that is like the Silverstone National, achieved by Jamie Dory. But how much is he going to improve? He jumps up to P13 with that. It's a 1 minute .0980, and what a lap there from Jamie Dory to move his way up into what is the top 15. And well, at the end of the day, that could be as far as you're going to get given how close everybody is. As meanwhile, in provisional and pole position right now, it's Mark Sykes, and well, Sykes on a 1 minute .0977. He's only 3 thousandths faster than Jamie Dory, and well, as you can see there, to get inside the top 10 right now, you've got to be only half a second off the overall pole time. And in return for Mark Sykes, if he was able to find a 10th out there, that would be enough to put him all the way up to P7. And well, speaking of Isaac Dolan, P7, he's just jumped up to provisional prime pole once again on a 1 minute .0804. And well, good luck there from the number 65 driver. He'll be looking to try and go a little bit further. Can he make his way into the second row of the overall grid? As meanwhile, the battle for overall pole position is between Wojciech Swierdowicz and Mikey Doble. And well, there you can see Mikey Doble in at the rear of the pitch, and now the focus on cameraman's attention as he makes his way on through turn number 3 and on towards the back straight he goes with the toe there of where's the JW Motorsport machine. And I do believe that might be the car of Reese Watches in front. That's the 32 indeed. That's Watt behind the wheel as he makes his way into the braking zone for turn number 4. But as he does so here, Watt backing off, not giving the toe to Mikey Doble. I think worrying about the fact he might impede the defending champion and instead opting to stay behind. And keep your eyes on Reese Watt. Much like Harley Bicknell in the AM class, we reckon that Reese Watt this season is going to be looking to go for that Prime Championship crown that eluded him last season after what was a very strong midpoint of the season, but it all went wrong in the final 3 rounds, and it really just enabled Isaac Doble to run away with his consistency as well. But the drivers make the way on through and in towards what is turn at number 1. The drivers making the way on through the right-hander. We're coming roaring on around, and it does look as though with less than 5 minutes left on the clock now, well, not too much time at the left-right drivers here as they make the way in between the apexes. And what I can see there, D Delta, I do believe that is Daniel Downey in the YouTube chat, advising that Isaac may not be at Prime anymore. We're a weaky face there. Well, if we have got the class classification incorrect, we will double check that when we can. And if so, Isaac taking that promotion up to where's the pro class and therefore competing for the overall championship. We will get some more information on that when we can for you, ladies and gentlemen, get that confirmed as we do look to what is another new driver on the grid for this season. Well, that's going to be, I do believe, none other, as we do double check what will be Jack Jeffries, and we'll make his way on through at turn number 5 there, and Will Jeffries in the number 67. He'll be racing in the pro class initially, it would seem here, and well, I say initially here because I think he's going to feel a little bit deflated in the fact that whilst he may be a pro driver, he's been racing up against quite the roster of primes and AMs around him right now. That's where he's going to qualify for this opening round of the season, currently in P33. But then again, given the shortness of the circuit and the fact that right now, to have more than a second between yourself and Swierdowicz's provisional pole time, you would need to be sat all the way down in what will be, as we just double check our numbers here, you'd have to be sat all the way down in what would be P41 as occupied by Jonathan Collins. And here is Jonathan Collins right now as he makes his way on through at turn number 6. And well, this is going to be an incredibly close squid, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if we see quite a few drivers out of position compared to where they perhaps expect to be when they do go racing. But as they make their way on through turn number 1, Collins right now, I think, feeling as though it's not going to be about qualifying necessarily, it's going to be about avoiding any drama at the start of the race. And with 50 cars are in the way into Copse Corner at turn number 1, well, that I think is going to be something that's on the minds of everyone, as I don't know whether Collins there thought he might be on camera, given the fact that our drivers were told this broadcast would not be live when they went racing. But if he was flashing his lights down the hope of being picked up on camera, Jonathan, we've heard you as he makes his way on down the back straight, and as he does so, we're looking for another attempt to get ahead of Kieran Smart. But meanwhile, as we look to Piotr Jegosleski, who was in the Honda Civic Type R last season, the Semper Racing driver back in the Prime class, also running the Audi RS3, and what I suspected, there's been a number of car changes for the Semper Racing team. I think they may have all aligned their cars for what have been the machines previously used by Wojciech Swierdowicz, and therefore they can get the most out of racing alongside one another as a team, and we look forward to seeing how that works out for them. But meanwhile, as we look back to it, Stuart Minus here, and we say hello there to Mark Winus in the YouTube chat there, and I would presume a fellow family member, maybe father, maybe brother. You'll have to let us know, Mark. And when he makes his way down to the braking zone for turns 2 and 3, does have a little line of cars behind him at the moment, and it's a bit of an uncomfortable position to be in here when you're the lead car of packing qualifying for the simple reason you have the right to the racing line. Indeed, you're the one who dictates the pace of the qualifying laps, given the fact that you yourself could be on a flying lap. But it's never nice having a car extremely close behind it. You have to try and get it out of your head, the fact that the driver who's behind you, as we look back from the rear of Winus' car here, and will that being at the number 31 car as being piloted by none other than what is Jack Bolton, well, they get it slightly wrong on the braking, and you could be experiencing what would be a bit of contact, and that could be enough to upset your lap. As he makes his way out to the corner, no such thing here, as it looks like Bolton trying to make his way through, not able to find the space and time, and we head on to where's the final minute of qualifying now, ladies and gentlemen. And if our drivers aren't on their final flying laps already, they will be very shortly, because time is running out, and we're at the front of the field. It is Wojciech Swierdowicz, who's currently 1.5 tenths faster than Mikey Doble, and looks to be on course to be taking the maiden pole position of the season. And with that, he will be breaking what will be the stranglehold that Mikey Doble has had on the pole position for the last 3 seasons in the season opener. And can Swierdowicz could do it? Could this be a sign of things to come? As meanwhile, Alex Meredith making his way to the timeline. He wasn't improving lap. It's gone a bit wrong towards the end of lap, and he's going to stay P13 at the moment, or P5 in the Prime class, as he makes his way on through turn number 1. But as he does so, Akram Zanoun improves there, and well, in the Audi RS3 for the organisation, find a bit more time right at the end, and moving himself up to P18 on 1 minute 0.911. And as he roars his way up towards turns 2 and 3. Meanwhile, your current AM pole sitter, the checker flag comes out in the qualifying session, is Harley Bicknell. And I think Bicknell feels like he can get this done, because between him and Sykes, it's half a tenth at the moment. Can the JW Motorsport driver go just a little bit further here and hold on, as Piotr Jugoslavski of Camera moves up to P15 from outside the top 20 on a 1 minute 0.869. There's still improvements out there, still rubber to burn, and as all the drivers continue to raise the threshold, Adam McNally moves up to P13 for SO and NXTGEN, the Honda Civic Type R, and as he roars his way through turn number 1, in fact brings the car to what is a gradual halt. Well, Harley Bicknell's into the pits. He thinks he's got this done for the first ever AM pole position in the NXTCC, but can Mark Sykes respond? No, he can't. He's completed his qualifying session, and I think with that all the AMs have finished, as Mikey Doble crosses the line. It's a 1 minute 0.524. It's an improvement by a tenth, but it's not enough to dethrone Wojciech Swierdowicz, who by the looks of things is taking the first pole position of the season overall in the pro class. And well, who else out there is on a lap right now? Matthew Addy, I believe, is on his in-lap here, given the fact he's already a minute into the lap beyond the 15-minute count, so he's going to be pulling it over. So that is qualifying complete, ladies and gentlemen. Last lap of the session has been put in by Luke Jones. The JW Motorsport Veloster drive moves up to P26, but that is qualifying, and that means it's Wojciech Swierdowicz and Mikey Doble who will be in your front row of the grid, with Swierdowicz taking pole position in the Prime class. And it'll be Isaac Doble who starts on pole, with Daniel Downing alongside, albeit behind him on the rows in P5, albeit maybe Daniel Downing taking prime pole. We will get that confirmed after the race in, and then it will be Harley Bicknell who takes the first ever AM pole at P21. But as all our drivers now make their way to the grid, this is how they'll line up for our first race of the season. It's Wojciech Swierdowicz who takes pole position for Semper Racing, joined on the front row by Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing. Adam Delmont will be lined up in what is P3 on the second row of the grid for SRL with NXTGEN Gold, ahead of Daniel Downing, what is your pro and pole sitter there for Goldwing Motorsport. And Isaac Doble's lap in the end not counting, and that being due to track limits, and therefore starting further down the order. It'll then be Jamie Dory who starts on where's your third row of the grid for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of Patrick Falconer for JW Motorsport, with Wayne Douglas taking P7 there for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of World of Racing's Luciano Vitford. We then have Benjamin McCluskey and with Slavomir Jaworski who complete your top 10 on the fifth row. The NXTGEN Pink driver ahead of the Semper Racing driver, who on his debut in the Prime class putting together a brilliant second place in qualifying. And then Isaac Doble and Ben Altria will line up together on your sixth row of the grid for Doble Sim Racing and Full Tilt V Motorsport. We'll then have on row at number 7 what will be the pairing of Adam McNally for SL with NXTGEN Gold and NXTGEN's Alex Meredith, with Joe Zidol for Double Sim Racing and Piotr Jegoslavski line up for Semper Racing and Double Sim Racing, respectively, P15, P16. And then Russell Fowler for Performance Link Esports will be starting on your 17th place spot for Performance Link Esports ahead of Akram Zanoon for the organisation. Sam Smith for iRacing Esports and Matthew Addy for NXTGEN complete your top 20 ahead of Harley Bicknell, the first ever and pole position going to the JW Motorsport Drive. Congratulations to him. And Jack Bolton for Grant Motorsport we start in P22. Lee Horn starts today at P23 for NXTGEN ahead of NXTGEN Pink's Gavin Gardner. And then we have on row at number 13 Marcel Fritsch for WS Racing Esports. On his debut, the Austrian just ahead of Reese Watt in the prime class for JW Motorsport. We then do have Luke Jones for JW Motorsport P27 ahead of second place AM driver Mark Sykes for NXTGEN. And then your top 30s round off by Shane Pigg of Ace of Spades Racing and Alan McCain for iRacing Esports. We then have Kieran Sharp starting P31 for the Sim Racing Collective ahead of Jack Jeffries for Red Grove Projects, with Mark Redford starting P33 ahead of Mark Kent, the Full Tilt V Motorsport driver. Stuart Viness starts P35 for Track Scotland ahead of Aztec Racing's Matthew Cheverton. And then we do have behind him John Higgins Jr., the Sim Racing Collective driver, and JW Motorsport's Ian Manners, with the top 40 being rounded off by Tom Anderson for Performance Link Esports and Duncan Rayes for Goldwing Motorsport. And on row 21, it's Sam Van Olst and Kieran Smart, ahead of Jonathan Collins and Darren Ills, with row 23 going to Kevin Smith and Daniel Fritz. And it's Gabriel Yilmaz and Craig Tillerston on row 24, with row at number 25 going to Riley Sheringham on his debut for Virtual Reality Motorsports and Nick Clements for iRacing Esports. And then last but not least, starting P51, Jeff Perkis. But I do believe some technical issues with the car will mean that Perkis will not be making it to the green flag. But speaking of the green flag, the lights are going on. It's time to go racing. And it's lights out and away we go for our first race of the season. The Wojciech Surodajczyk looks to get a good start from pole position. He does exactly that. And as they roll the way in towards turn number 1, all the tries right now started to the side. Is it worth going too wide or not? As they roll the way for the opening corner. No instance so far as the majority of the field now starts to clear the opening apex as they all come crashing down into the braking zone for turns 2 and 3 for the first time of asking. Further back there we can see Slawomir Jabowski looking for the run to defend against Isaac Doble. Doble close but not able to make the move as everyone. Constantine is in. Sam Smith as well looking around the outside there versus Zanoon and Fowler trying to find a way to make it free wide, but he can't quite do it as they now all pile their way onto the back straight here, and it's all going to be about who's got the tyres up to temperature in the run down towards turns 4 and 5, because that's where time is made a loss on this opening lap. As they made their way down towards the braking zone, you can see everyone right now scuttling left to right, looking for an opportunity. Speaking of which, Patrick Falconer being passed up by Luciano Vitford, who moves up a position up into P7 as they come on through turn number 5. Everyone now going at line astern as they come on through the right hand, albeit Alex Meredith decides he doesn't need to. He's going to go around the outside to try and make the move count here versus Joseph Doble, but Joseph Doble in fact gets ahead into P14 as they come on towards lap number 2, and as they roar their way to the timeline, plenty of fighting already. And further down the order, Harley Bicknell being closed here by Lee Horn and Mark Sykes, the second place AM driver on the run versus with the lead AM driver as they make their way towards turn number 1. Bicknell here on the outside, Horn's got the inside. That's going to be quite exposing for Bicknell as they come down towards turn number 3. And as they head in towards the braking zone, can Bicknell hold on here, or will Sykes see this as a golden opportunity to try and take the AM lead off him? Onto the brakes, they get ready to go, but Sykes here not quite able to get involved. Meanwhile, he's got Alan McCain up the inside. Bit of contact between the two, and that's going to force Sykes wide. And Alan McCain still there, bumping and grinding as they make their way out turn number 3. And on the back straight they go, but Sykes using the Audi's power is able to stay ahead for now. Luke Jones meanwhile still battling here with John Higgins Jr., the Sim Racing Collective Honda of Higgins Jr. batting hard to hold on to P28, and as they make their way into the braking zone here, well, Higgins Jr. right now the prime driver trying to hold on to the final prime point position of P15 in class. The contact there between Jones and Piggott. Piggott brings it back together. Jones right now being bumped around left and right. Jack Jeffries goes around the outside to inside, and Red Grove Projects driver making a place, making a critical 1 count as they head on to the next lap very shortly. But as they do, well, meanwhile, let's give you a recap of the top 10 after 3, well, in fact 2 laps of racing. It's Wojciech Surodajczyk ahead of Mikey Doe by half a second, Adam Delman P3, Jamie Dory P4, Wayne Douglas P5 ahead of Luciano Vitford P6, prime leader Daniel Downing P7 for Goldwing Motorsport ahead of Benjamin McCluskey, followed by Adam McNally, second place prime driver in P9. Isaac Doe completes your top 10, third place prime driver, and then Slawomir Jabowski makes it with best arrest P11 out there, full place pro-am. But meanwhile, Harley Bicknell still holding on to the AM lead in P23 off camera, and as they make their way onwards towards turn at number 4, meanwhile we do have some further battling down the order, including Jonathan Collins here fighting with what is Kieran Smart. They're fighting for the third place spot in the AM class, and as they make the way on down here, it's going to be Collins who gets ahead. The Velocity having a little bit more momentum at this point, but Smart switching back to the inside, trying to go for the cheeky cutback here as they make the way under braking, but Collins seeing it and closing the door, but now Smart's going to have the opportunity to go round the outside to inside. It's going to be a smooth move from Smart, and I don't think Collins has got anything to try and defuse the situation, and Smart in the end makes the move count, but now he's got Track Scotland teammate Stuart Windish just in front, and Windish still battling with Redford. Redford here on the outside. The Honda's not going to have the power, but it will have the potential under braking, but the problem is that Elantra is so strong in the mid-gear range, and as they head up towards turn number 1, it looks like Windish is going to take the inside all the way to Cops Bend, but they're going it too wide. Will they emerge from it too wide? No, in the end it is going to be the Track Scotland driver who gets ahead. Meanwhile, we had an instant just up the road for Gabriel Yilmaz, who I do believe had to fall down the order, and we also had an instant for what is that Kremsen this one a bit further back, but as the drivers make the way under braking here, it's getting very close and nip and tuck between the drivers. Marcel Fridge also looking for an opportunity for WS Racing Esports. He makes his way on through turn at number 3 in towards 4, but as he does so right now, fending off what is there, Kevin Smith behind. You can see Tom Anderson in front, taking this a bit of a breather to be able to break away as they make the way onwards towards turns 4 and 5. As the drivers make the way in towards the next braking zone, we look back up towards the front of the field, and at Kremsen here, the organisation driver right now battling side by side with Jack Bolton. Bolton going a little bit deep there in the Hello Kitty machine as they make the way onwards towards turn number 1. But as we ride on board and look back from the rear of the Honda, with the Grant Motorsport driver in the 31 right now, still staying ahead for the time being as he makes his way in towards the braking zone. But will he be able to fend off his rival behind as they come in towards the right hander? Well, I think he's going to lose the rear of the car. In fact, the car going sideways there, and Zanoon's going to have to go wide as a result to avoid contact. But this is going to release what began Gardner, making it 3 wide for a brief moment as they head in towards turn number 2. The next gen pink driver safely making its way around the outside to the inside here, onto the brakes they go. Oh goodness me, and the car going backwards there. That's Patrick Falconer, who's had a bit of contact. I'm not quite sure. In fact, that wasn't just Patrick Falconer. We also got it going wrong there for what is, I do believe, the car of, well, that was one of the JW Motorsports cars going sideways. We can't quite tell you who it was. I think it was Luke Jones, in fact. And, well, I'm not quite sure what triggered the contact, but I can tell you the aftermath right now as they make the way towards the end of lap number 5 is that Jones is under pressure from Collins as they head down towards the braking zone. This is the battle for P33, and Collins going around the outside to inside, and as they come into left into right here, well, 2 by 2 they go on the braking. But will it be 2 by 2 on corner X here? Jones feels though he can make this count around the outside. This is going to be very brave from Jones here. He's going to rely on Collins essentially to back off the throttle entirely, and Collins does exactly that, knowing that Anderson is only going to push the two of them towards the gravel, and as they go side by side on towards the timeline, going onwards towards what will be at lap number 6 of race near. The race leader is already up towards turn number 3. Such is the scale of the field and how this battling is starting to spread the field out compared to how close they were in qualifying, but that's always the nature of the beast. And as they make the way through Cops Bend, it is going to be Collins ahead of Jones as they head in towards turns 2 and 3. As meanwhile, Kevin Smith, rear of the picture there, battling with Tom Anderson. And what Anderson looking to hold on here is, in fact, Anderson falling a bit further back, and Smith making his way past both Marcel Fridge and also what is Tom Anderson, then the Brano Motorsport driver in the fully colourful, what is it, black, yellow and blue livery machine. Right now pushing on here and flying the colours high for the team as he heads after what will be next target of Gabriel Yilmaz, who's having some connectivity issues, it would seem, for Aztec Racing just in front. But meanwhile, speaking of just in front, let's make our way back up inside the top 25, and this is Matthew Addy, who right now has got John Higgins Jr. and Piotr Jigoslewski behind, and if we ride on board, looking back out the rear view window of what is Matthew Addy in the 777 machine. He's feeling lucky for this season, deciding to go all in with the 7s, and Higgins Jr. and Jigoslewski behind, these 3 fighting for P12 in the Pram class, and coming in towards the opening corner once again. Addy having to fight a wall of understeer there on turning. The car refusing. Meanwhile, the Honda of Higgins Jr. behind, absolutely compliant. And as they make the way out towards turn 2 and 3, I think Higgins Jr.'s going to look on the inside. The Honda's got the better brakes. He's going to get very close. Contact, and Addy's turned as he goes across the road. And in the end, it is going to be a contact racing series, the NXTCC. There's no doubt about it. But I think that was a bit too much contact for what Addy would deem suitable. And I think he might be having a word with the stewards after that race. And meanwhile, Higgins Jr. now, he finds himself under assault from Piotr Jigoslewski, the Audi driver from Semper Racing, looking around the outside here. And Higgins Jr. getting his elbows out immediately as they make the way from the left into right. But what is Shane Piggott just behind, also watching on here and thinking how he can get involved as they come through turn number 5 and onwards towards the next lap they go. As they roar their way out 2 wide in front, that's Akram Zanoon versus Gavin Gardner. And Zanoon right now trying to fend off the pro driver, who had an absolutely dismal display in qualifying, and Gavin Gardner switching from the Audi to what is the Hyundai Veloster for this season, and well, a switcher car definitely hasn't worked here, but then again, it could just be given the fact this circuit is so tight and its margins, which are going to make the difference between pole position all the way through to P50 on the grid compared to other circuits on our calendar. Indeed, it's a very different qualifying session here compared to other rounds, albeit Sandown's the next closest, but that's not about qualifying. Right now, let's focus on the fact that Zanoon's qualifying for the right to battle Gardner for P19 overall. Looking around the outside here, but Gardner's going to have all the defensive capabilities at his disposal. They went onto the backstretch, and Harley Bicknell looking for an opportunity to try and take a top 20 here. Just continuing his way up the order little by little as the JW Motorsport driver, and I think the confidence is growing. But meanwhile, we've been taking a look outside the top 10 for some time. Let's not forget we've got a top 10 to also consider, and here's your Dutchman Luciano Bickford as the World of Racing driver right now under huge pressure from Wayne Douglas, who's all over the back of him as they make the way through. You ride on board here, looking down over nose, a bit of contact. Thank goodness me, I thought it was going to be turned sideways as they head into Cops Bend, but Douglas in the end looking to try and muscle his way on through. It's going to be Bickford who says, I can do that too, and actually puts his foot down and says, no, you do not. And as they make the way towards turns 2 and 3 right now, I think the message has been received by Douglas, but I don't think he's going to heed it for too long. He'll be looking for an opportunity, given the fact that your prime leader, Daniel Downing, right behind, is still looking for an opportunity to go on the offensive as they make the way down the back straight, and as they're heading in towards turn number 4. Onto where's the midway point of this race they've come, and will so far still too much more to see as all the drivers battle hard and fast around this Silverstone National Circuit, and we're coming in towards the left-hander here of what is turn number 4. Right now for Douglas, I think he's having to keep one eye on what's in front, and he's having to keep one eye on what's behind him as we look at what's behind him, and that is Daniel Downing, the Goldwing Motorsport driver, looking to start off this season strong with an opening class win, and will that definitely right the wrongs of the previous season. And well, we only need to look back to what happened at Magny-Cours, where it all went wrong for so many in the Pro-Am class, when so many drivers were leading in the race, and well, in the end it seemed as though it was only going to be Isaac Doble who would be permitted to win at what was at Magny-Cours. But as they make the way out of what is turn number 1 and up towards 2 and 3, well, meanwhile right now a bit further down the order, Alex Meredith looking to pick up another driver. This is versus Russell Fowler for P7 Prime on what is P15 overall, so overall points up for grabs here for the top 15 overall places. And as they make the way down to turn number 3, well, Meredith on the inside, it's going to be a battle of acceleration. Now we know what is the Audi is the stronger of the two, but on that outside line it's going to be called out, and exactly that as Meredith makes his way on past up in the P15, up in the P7 in Prime class. His next target will be the fellow Elantra drivers of Ben Altrier and Sam Smith. And speaking of Ben Altrier, the full tilt B Motorsport driver right now looking to hold on here as he makes his way from left and right in the 504. Will that be the way it's going to work out as he comes down in towards turn number 5, and as he comes on through the right hander, Will Trier right now looking good, looking comfortable, but I think the problem's going to be soon is that Smith is not going to wait there all day in order to look for an opportunity to take a P5 in the Prime class, and with a P13 overall as they roar the way onto another lap. But they make the way across the timeline and just a bit further behind. We still do have plenty more battling. This is Ian Manners right now, who finds himself in a very nip and tuck battle at Veloster and Veloster here versus what is Shane Piggott, and they're fighting for P18 in the Prime class, P28 overall. They've got Patrick Falconer eagerly behind them as we see 2 cars going wide. Matthew Sheraton, meanwhile, then for Aztec Racing, I think he's pointing in the wrong direction and rejoins Alan McCain. So I think they've had a bit of an altercation, and in the end, well, Sheraton's come off worse, but there's McCain on the outside once again, slightly off camera now. But you could see him there briefly in the rear view mirror of Manners, who goes very deep. As we look to the external cameras, you can see that Alan McCain has tucked in behind, but here comes Patrick Falconer trying to use his JW Motorsport teammate together with him in order to create a rolling roadblock between the two of them. I think they're going to do exactly that as Mark Sykes will be eager to try and make his way through in order to go hunting after Harley Bicknell, who is now the best part of 9 places up the road. But I think it might be a question of when, not if, Bicknell can bring it home to victory at this rate of knots, as they make the way on through turn number 5 and almost towards turn number 6, but as they roar the way on out and up towards the timeline. Meanwhile, look a little bit further down the order, and we've got further battling playing out for what is Matthew Sheraton now. In fact, after the damage picked up, the sparks coming from the front left suspension of the Aztec Racing 390 Audi. That's going to be a trip to the pits for Sheraton. It's a fast repair, but I think that's going to put him out of the racing for this first race. In terms of he'll be at the back of the order, and he will effectively be a lap down at this point, and well, he'll be looking for better luck in race number 2. We're not quite sure what happened between him and McCain, and we can't get a replay of it, unfortunately, due to technical limitations today. But what we can tell you is it's gone very, very wrong for Sheraton, and it's not the way we want to see it go for him. But as Jamie Doria is the focus of our cameraman's attention now into P4 overall, and in the Pro class of NXTGEN Pink, well, right now with Whitford and Douglas behind, and will your top 3 of Delmont, Doble and Spiro Dyche, albeit from 3rd through to 1st in that order. The trio just running away off into distance, and meanwhile everyone else being made to play catch up, and Jamie Dory really becoming the cork in the proverbial bottle here as Vitfort's all over the back of him in towards Cox Corner, but as they come through the right-hander with another 5 laps to go after this one, it doesn't seem as though it's going to easily flow in terms of it for being able to look for places. And we'll remember after this race they will start to have success bars loaded into the cars, and that is only going to serve to shake things up ever more as they make their way through turn 3 and in towards 4. But Vitfort's so close right now, he could reach out and touch the rear wing of his rival, albeit if this were managed by the FIA, there'd be a £20,000 fine as a result of that. We don't do that here in Next Gen. Indeed, the thing that's fine here is the fact we get to see some brilliant races. They make the way in towards turn number 4, but Vitfort there decide not to go for it. I think right now just waiting to see how much life he can make Dory take out of the tyres before they go on to the final couple of laps. Also cognizant of the fact that Wayne Douglas is right behind the fellow Next Gen Racing pink driver and sponsored by Douglas Motorsport will be very eager to look for an opportunity to get involved here as they make their way out of the corner. And right now Vitfort literally rubbing up against the rear bumper of Dory as they make their way onwards towards another lap. And will the world of racing driver here, if he's not going to look for the move this time around, I don't know what else he needs to be able to look for a move given the fact they're so close. But as they head out of the corner, it is going to be nose to tail every step away. Delmont there, 1.7 seconds up the road. Too far away to be a consideration for slipstream for Dory, but at the same time, he is a bit of a motivator there as Dory goes defensive, tight on the inside approach towards the apex, but could that put him out of position coming out the corner? Well, in the end, it does mean that Vitfort gets the better exit, but here's the problem. If you're in that Veloster, you haven't got the top gears compared to the Audi as they make the way down. Vitfort's going to be close. It's going to be less than a 10th here as they make the way under the gantry, but will he be able to look for a move up the inside? No, he waits once again. How long is he going to wait? That's the question. He's got the patience for the same right now, but I can imagine the Dutchman as well. Behind that patience is going to be a little bit of red that's only going to grow stronger, and I'm not talking about the paint on the car, but meanwhile as they make the way on towards lap number 15, well, from them we do look to what is Alex Meredith behind, and will Meredith here still find himself going the long way round out of turn number 5. He's making a habit of this in battling with Ben Altria for P6 in the prime class. Meanwhile Sam Smith has found his way ahead and is trying to hold on, but they go side by side across the start finish line straight and onwards towards turn number 1. It's going to be Meredith on the outside here. Smith is going to be running away. Altria on the inside. 2 they go in terms of 2 wide. Will they come out the way in the battle of the 2 Elantras? I think they are going to, but Meredith's going to have a nose ahead who's been able to carry a little bit more speed, but this battling is giving Smith the opportunity to break away, and behind you can see Russell Fowler now tucking in, trying to make this a three-way fight. He's going to carve to the inside here. That's Altria. It's going to be opportunism in its finest for the Englishman, but will he have to get it done here as he tries to power his way on through? No, he can't. Now Duncan Race is a lap down. I mean, he's watching this because he's a fellow prime driver thinking if only I was on the same lap and I'd love to go battling, but unfortunately the blue flags we waved and you can see them, they're putting off racing line, and I think that's a degree of frustration just as much as it is about what is conservatism with speed. In fact, he'd love to be in this fight, but it's not to be in race number 1 for him today. But they come on through turns 4 and 5 and upwards towards the timeline they go. Meanwhile, looking further up, Piotr Jegosleski under pressure and John Higgins Jr. Higgins Jr. up the inside there through turn number 5. Bit further contact there. I think it's a bit of rub, and Stuart Wine is behind as well. The Track Scotland driver flashes his lights. He's not too happy with the pace, and they're running in front of him. And well, at the end of the day, I think he feels like he can be the faster driver. They're fighting too hard as they pull over to the right hand side of your picture. And well, that's going to be Higgins Jr. absolutely defended to the death here into turn 1. Meanwhile, going around the outside of Jegosleski, but Wine looks at the cutback here. You're right on board with him. He's going to get the better run off the corner. Jegosleski's going to see this coming. He's not going to be able to shut the door in time. Higgins Jr. giving the toe to Wine, is trying to give him every opportunity. And as they make the way under break, and there's more contact, and there's a squeeze towards the apex from which Jegosleski and Wine is. And meanwhile, Wine says, no, you don't. And he gets himself in, elbows out completely between these three. And you can see what the paint's been stripped off the cars as a result of it as they power their way on towards turn number 4. As they head down towards the braking zone, we're still going to be Jegosleski ahead of Winus. This is fighting for P13 in the prime class, so it's the best part of which 3 points available to these drivers. And as they make the way down, points being prized at the end of the day. And it's going to be Jegosleski who holds off Winus as they come out of turn 4 into 5. But Harley Bicknell, the AM leader, right behind them. And then Matthew Addy and Shane Piggott now joining the queue. It's a long line of cars here. But meanwhile, speaking of lines of cars, we look back up to Joseph Doble, who breaks out of the line and looks to try and make a move out up the inside versus Sam Smith through the right hander at turn number 1. And we'll side by side they go on corner exit up towards what will be turns 2 and 3. And well, 2 wide they go. Behind us going to be Meredith, Altria and Fowler, still considered a 3 wide here. And as they come down to the break, oh goodness me, it's gone wrong for Meredith. He's turned around, and I think there's a little bit of a bump from what was either Altria or Fowler. We couldn't quite see given the exchange and all the positions between the drivers. But Meredith's come off the worst for it, but he's been able to get it turned around. He drops to P11 in the Prime class. That's going to cost him some key points, but he's still in the points paying positions, and he'll know that he's now got a little bit more work to do in race number 2. But as he makes his way on down the back straight, meanwhile, Russell Fowler still fighting here with Smith, still fighting with all three as the white flag is out for our race leaders. They've gone into their final lap, but we're staying here with the battle for ways to try and be inside the top 5 of the Prime class, as right now it's getting very tasty indeed. And well, you can see all three of there being absolutely hoarded by cars as he tries to stay with Smith, but right now Fowler, Watt and Bolton, well, what is Bolton here looking strong in the Grant Motorsport machine, but can he find a way to make a move? Oh goodness me, it's gone very wrong, and that is Reese Watt, who under braking into turn 1 is into the wall, and that could be race ending for Reese Watt literally just before the final checker flag of what will be the first race of the day. Well, he tries to turn the car around. Meanwhile, we look from him to your race leader as the Audi RS3 of Wojciech Swierdajczyk right now just continues to hold off Mikey Doe by the best part of 7.5 tenths, and as they make the way up through turn number 5, Mikey Doe is throwing everything at this, but despite him the number 1 in the car, he's not going to be the number 1 at the end of this race, because he makes out the corner. The hold that Mikey Doe has had on the first race win of the season is broken, and it will be broken by Wojciech Swierdajczyk for Semper Racing, who takes the first win of the season overall and in the pro class ahead of Mikey Doe. It'll then be Adam Delman, who's on the final overall podium spot ahead of Jamie Dory and Luciano Bitford. We'll then have Wayne Douglas finish ahead of your prime winner Daniel Downing, who takes the first prime win of the season. A great start for the Goldwing Motorsport driver Benjamin McCluskey, followed by Isaac Doe and Slavomir Travosky, who takes the final spot on the prime podium. The Semper Racing driver on a great debut race. Adam McNally, Joseph Dole, Sam Beneltret and Russell Fowler complete your top 15. And there it's Harley Bicknell, P23 overall, and your first ever AM race winner there for JW Motorsport. He's going to be absolutely pleased as punch with that, there's no doubt about it. And will second place in the AM class is Mark Sykes, P29, and Kieran Smart on his debut for Track Scotland. He will be taking the final AM podium spot, P31 overall in number 39. A brilliant race across all 3 classes, no doubt about it. And will, as our last lead lap finishers come to line, there's going to be a little bit of battling here between Kieran Sharp and Matthew Sheraton to line, but it is going to be the Sim Racing Collective driver who holds on for P45 ahead of where's the Audi RS3 Sheraton for Aztec Racing. And Sam Benoist will be your last lead lap finisher in P47, ladies and gents, with the Goldwing Motorsport, and a race one that definitely hasn't gone his way, but it's gone the way of teammate, what is Daniel Downing. But as our drivers make the way in to the pits, a fantastic first race, the start of proceedings here in the NXTCC Season 6, and everyone right now very quickly making their way into the pit box, and I think all fired up for what will be race number 2 in due course. And as everyone cruises on down, I think Harley Bicknell is going to be very happy with the fact it's been a great start to his AM Championship campaign, exactly what the doctor ordered, and he'll be looking for plenty more of that before all is said and done today. But well, we've still got 2 more races to go, ladies and gentlemen, and with that, let's take you through those finishing positions subject to any assured inquiries, and here they are. So as always, we start off the overall finishing positions, and Wojciech Swierdajczyk, your winner for Semper Racing, ahead of Mikey Doe for Doble Sim Racing. Adam Delman, P3 there for SRL with NXTGEN Gold. Behind the top 2 who ran away in the end, but still Adam Delman finishing 5 seconds behind, but he won't mind that, in the fact he'll be pleased to be on the podium. Jamie Dory at P4 there for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of Luciano Bitford with the World of Racing driver, completing the top 5, and in the end less than a 10th behind Dory at the finish line. Such was the tenacity of their battling. Wayne Douglas, P6 for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of Daniel Downing, the first prime winner going to the Goldwing Motorsport driver there, and indeed what a drive for number 17, ahead of Benjamin McCluskey for NXTGEN Pink, and then the prime podium being rounded off by Isaac Doe for Double Sim Racing and Semper Racing's Slavomir Travosky. We'll then have Adam McNally at P11 there, just behind Javosky, best of the rest, and 4th place in the prime class for what was SRL with NXTGEN Gold. And then we see Joseph Doble at P12 there for Double Sim Racing, ahead of Sam Smith, the Irish esports driver, taking that 13th place spot. And he'll be pleased with that, in the fact the top 5 finish in the prime class is nothing easy when you've got Ben Altrier for Full Tilt V Motorsport and Russell Fowler for Performance Link Esports right behind you. And that's your top 15, indeed your overall points paying positions. But as we continue the story further down the grid, Jack Bolton at P16 on his debut for Grant Motorsport, getting in the mix there, but getting in a little bit too late to finish inside the top 15. But he'll take that 16th place spot as a place to improve upon. And then we can see Gavin Garner, Akram Zanoon, Alex Meredith, and Piotr Jegosłowski completing your top 20. With Stuart Winnis, P21 there for Track Scotland, ahead of John Higgins Jr., his fellow countryman there, just finishing behind for the Sim Racing Collective. And then Harley Bicknell, our first AM winner and taking was P23 overall for JW Motorsport. Shane Piggott and Ian has completed your top 25, with Patrick Falconer fighting just as much with Proms as he did with AMS today in this first race for P26, and then Alan McCain and Matthew Addy P27 at P28, and they were the drivers who separated. Mark Sykes P29 there, and your runner-up AM driver for what was Team NXTGEN from Harley Bicknell, the class's winner. Luke Jones P30 ahead of Kieran Smart. He may have finished P31, but more importantly for the Track Scotland driver, he's taken the final spot on the AM podium on his debut. Then Mark Redford, Reese Watt, Lee Horn and Jonathan Collins completed your top 35. Marcel Fritsch on his debut, P36 for WS Racing Esports, finding himself elbowed down the order midway through the race, and we're looking to try and make his way back up the order later on, with Jack Jeffries ahead of Daniel Fritz, and your top 40 being completed by what was Kevin Smith and Gabriel Yilmaz, and I do believe there, unless I'm very much mistaken, Daniel Fritz being your final top 5 finisher in the AM class, with Kevin Smith just missing out there in the Great Little Battle. Behind Yilmaz, it was Craig Tillerson ahead of Tom Anderson, and then it was Darren Eales, Riley Sheringham, Kieran Sharp, Matthew Sheraton, and Sam Van Ols completing your top 47, and the drivers who finished on the lead lap. And then finishing what was a lap or more down, we did see Duncan at Marais there, P48, ahead of retirees, Mark Kemp for Full Tilt B Motorsport, Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports, and the priority of Jeff Perkis not making it onto the grid due to technical issues with the car. But that's the rundown of the overall finisher positions, ladies and gentlemen, and with that, we now get ourselves set and ready to go for race number 2, because that's how they're going to start. And well, race number 2 is only just around the corner, and we will be back in approximately what will be 10 minutes time for the build up to race number 2 and plenty more. Don't go anywhere, you won't to miss it, because if race 1's told us anything, this is going to be a fiery season, and it all begins at Silverstone National. And let's see how those tempers continue to heat up in our second race of the day. We'll be back shortly. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we do apologise for the slight delay in returning to the racing here at the Silverstone National Circuit in the United Kingdom, but we are back for race number 2 of 3 here today in our season opening round of the NXTCC Season 6, powered by IMB Racewear and brought to you on iRacing, and we've got another 18 laps of racing just around the corner in approximately 2.5 minutes, and what a race to open up the season, no doubt about it, and as our drivers all get themselves set and ready to go once again. We saw some absolutely brilliant performances from the likes of Adam and Ali for SRL with NXTGEN Gold, and well, we had some difficult performances from some other drivers out there, including the likes of Mark Kent for Full Tilt V Motorsport in the Audi RS3. And if you're wondering why we had a slight delay with regards to returning to the race in action by 2 minutes, it's because you may have noticed in the bottom left corner we were working furiously in the background in trying to get our drivers' pictures to load up properly. Indeed, a number of drivers put photos forward in preparation for this season, so therefore we've been able to find a fix for the issue. So some of our drivers' photos will be coming through, and more of them will be coming through for race number 3, or they should all be in place back by then. But still, going from photos to a race that could be summarised in 1,000 photos, well, we saw some brilliant batting up and down the field and some standout performances to go with it, and perhaps the most standout performance of them all, of course, being from this man, Wojciech Swierdajczyk, pole sitter, and converted it into what was the overall win by 7/10 at the end over Mikey Doble, and will a rivalry that ignited very quickly in Season 5. It's already reignited between them in this season, and once we look to Mikey Doble there in the number 1 machine, making his way onto the back straight. The question will be, of course, is given the fact that we started P1, P2 once again, no reverse grid in the second race a day, it's already set based on finishing position overall, and then they'll have the success ballast added. Well, could we see the difference of what is the best part of 8 kilograms of success ballast? Give Mikey Doble the leverage he needs to try and find a way to strike a win back immediately overall. We'll have to wait and see. As also we do have the considerations in the prime class of Daniel Downing looking to try and make it 2 out of 2 after that win. And well, he did correct us in the YouTube chat going into race number 1, and we can confirm we also double checked, and well, Isaac Doble was incorrectly listed as a prime driver. He is pro for the season, having been promoted as a result of his season 5 prime championship crown, and therefore there's a void open, and well, with Isaac having to go competing for the greatest of achievements in the overall category, who out of our primes we looking at to try and take over from him come the end of the season. That will be on the minds of all of them as we look to Slawomir Jaworski, who had a brilliant run to what was in the end a spot on the podium in the prime class, and as he makes his way on through turn of 1, he'll be looking to try and go for the win in his second race a day. But he's going to have some tough competition from his rivals if he wants to be able to do so. But then again, nothing's easy in the NXTCC. We can definitely tell you that from all 5 seasons so far, and it has been a story of each and every season where drivers have hoped to overcome major challenges and indeed achieve some key triumphs along the distance. But some more triumphs are yet to come for our drivers, given the fact we're only 1 race in so far of 30 races this season, and it is going to ebb and flow. It's all about momentum and consistency just as much as it is about standout performances. But as Jaworski makes his way off through turn 4 in towards 5, we're only minutes away from going to the grid for our second race today, approximately 2 minutes now, if that, ladies and gentlemen. And when we do, what is going to be before our drivers at the second race today? Will it be the story of race 1 carried forward? Will it be all chop and change up and down the field? Well, only time is going to tell. As we look to Darren Hills as the Ace of Spades racing driver makes his way in towards turn number 1. And the Ace of Spades seem having a great start to their season, great seeing their colourful liveries on the grid, and they'll be looking to push a little bit higher, but both drivers getting some points on the board, both Shane Pigger and also Hills, and I think they'll both be feeling as though now they can go for a little bit more glory, just take it 1 step at a time. But checker flag is out, and that can only mean one thing, ladies and gentlemen: the warm-up period is over. It's time to head to the grid for our second race of the day. As our drivers make the way onto the grid, unfortunately we can't do a full grid walk due to limitations with our iRacing replay file, but what we can do is start to see our drivers all forming into position, and well, they'll be lined up exactly how they finished after race number 1, which means it will be Wojciech Swierdajczyk and Mikey Doble on that front row of the grid, with Adam Delmont started at P3 behind, and then Jamie Dory taking the 4th place spot, and he'll have the welcome company of what will be none other than Luciano Vitford. He'll be starting in P5, but as the clouds have descended over the Silverstone circuit, no sign of rain we can confirm, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately not eligible for the touring car racing class race machinery as of this season, the NXTCC, but you never know, it could come to iRacing midway through. Then we might have to make a key strategic call on whether we introduce raid to the racing. But either way, one thing we can tell you is that as our drivers all fit themselves into position, well, the red lights are currently on, but soon they're going to be going off, and when they do, we are going to have an absolutely brilliant second race on our hands. We're less than what is about 10-15 seconds away. In fact, the lights are going on. It's time. It's lights out and away we go for our second race of days. Wojciech looks to get a good start once again, but now hustling 56 kilograms of success bars, and Mikey Doe immediately on the offensive. But meanwhile, Jamie Dorey making a move up the inside, taking P3 for Adam Delman before they clear the first corner. It's going to be Jamie Dorey now who looks to try and spring and pounce on the 2 leaders, but Doe on the inside there versus Wojciech into turn 3. There's Cookie, a key move for the lead in the battle between the Brit and the Polishman, and as they come through the right-hander, it is going to be Doe who takes the position, or is it, as it's now going to be a drag race out the corner. You can see that Doe immediately transfixed himself to the inside line, the run on down. Swiridovic trying to squeeze his way the inside to turn 4, but in the end Swiridovic being made to look long way round if he wants to get this done, and indeed now it's going to be a run onto the outside and the break here between the 2 leaders, but Mikey Doe stays ahead, and meanwhile Luciano Vitford behind up the inside of Wayne Douglas after a poor run with Jamie Dorey coming out of turn 3 into 4, and that's going to release with Vitford and Wayne Douglas to go toe to toe here and door to door as they make their way out to turn number 5. As you can see, the leaders making the way up through, and then just behind, well, it's been a clear start for the majority of our drivers at the start of this race. We've had a couple of tracks at turn number 3, but I don't think we've had any major incidents so far for all drivers. So everyone survived the open lap, and as they make their way onto another lap of racing, all drivers are pouring their way on through here, and we're on to lap number 2 out of 18 they go, and as they do, well, it's Mikey Doe ahead of Wojciech Swiridovic, followed by Wayne Douglas, then Adam Delman ahead of Luciano Vitford, followed by Benjamin McCluskey. Adam McNally is now your prime leader, getting ahead of Daniel Downing, and Slavomir Jaworski also coming on through with him. So McNally right now and Jaworski getting the jump on Downing, with Isaac Doe in P9 ahead of Jamie Dorey in P10, and then Joseph Doble at P11 best the rest, with Daniel Downing, race 1 prime winner, holding on to P12 currently as they make the way on down the back straight. But here comes Isaac Doble looking to try and cipher his way between Jaworski and also what is there, Joseph Doble. I think it's going to be Joseph Doble who looks to move in turn. The 2 brothers battle side by side on the braking, but Isaac does get ahead in the end, remembering all 3 of the Doble family members now racing in the pro class. No overall battles there for Jamie Dorey. Meanwhile, cuts on through, but Slavomir Jaworski going sideways, coming through turn number 5. I think there might have been some contact with Dorey based on the camera angle, although it's inconclusive, and we're now trying to get himself back together after a brilliant race number 1, but it's all gone so very, very wrong for him at the start of race number 2, as that's going to be Russell Fowler looking around the outside. And Fowler looking for the move here to promote him up into P8 in the prime class, and with it P18 as they come down in towards turn number 1 once again. A little bit of rubbing there between them, but in the end it is going to be Fowler who gets the move done, and Jaworski now having to back off as Shane Piggott looks for the move as well, and Piggott here for Ace of Spades. He wants 1, he wants 2, he's trying to look for the move here on Fowler. I think Jaworski's going to think, no, it's not possible, and instead he's just going to park himself on the inside, make Piggott have to go deep, and try and make Fowler leave the door back open for him, and does exactly that, as meanwhile just behind Kieran Smart, well, he's had an absolutely brilliant start to his race in the AM class. In fact, Harley Bicknell's all the way down in P38, as well we're hearing there's been an incident for Riley Sheringham quite recently. I've seen him turn around at turn number 3, and in fact we do look to Riley Sheringham, and who's pointing the wrong way? That's him, the virtual reality autosports driver, having it go very wrong, and also there was contact, I believe, with what was none other than Reese Waters coming through the corner, but as they bring themselves around, Riley Sheringham definitely having a difficult start to today, no questions about it, and I think Darren Hills as well also having a bit of a nightmare start to his race, as they now try to all bring it back together. But meanwhile, as we look back to the battling inside the top 30, well, this is Alex Meredith side by side with Matthew Addy. They're fighting for P11 Prime, and what is P22 overall as the NXTGEN driver here fending off the NXTGEN with Sam Case's Veloster machine. But as they head down towards the next braking zone, meanwhile, just in front, that's Ian Manners and Alan McCain here side by side as well. They're fighting for what is at P16, as Russell Fowler and Slavomir Jaworski look for a move to try and get on the hunt on the back of the 2 of them. But as they make their way up towards what we turn at number 4, they settle into line astern, and it is going to be McCain who holds on now. The iRacing Esports team who really came alive at the end of season 5 with a lot of momentum and some great results results coming their way, and looking to do exactly more of that here today on this season opener. But meanwhile, looking back to the front of the field, where it's side by side we go, coming out of what is their turn number 5 in towards 6, and that's Mikey Dole being passed around the outside by Wojciech Swierdowicz. They come through Woodcock Corner onto lap number 5. It's going to be Doble's back on the inside. You can start to see the weight bearing down on the Audi and preventing it from being able to accelerate fully ahead. As they head to Copse Corner, all too wide, they go into the opening corner, and as they exit, it is going to be Swierdowicz who takes the move and takes the place all the way towards turn number 3. We ride on board and look back from the rear of the number 80 driver as they head in towards the right-hander, and well, right now it is going to be Mikey Dover who waits, he watches, he listens, but he can't find a way in. As it turns, Wayne Douglas, Adam Delman, Luciano Vipler and Benjamin McCluskey all queue up behind. And well, speaking of Benjamin McCluskey, we didn't really talk about it in race number 1, but he's been able to sneak his way gradually up the order with some absolutely brilliant moves so far, and the next gen peak driver, I think now just eagerly awaited an opportunity and tried to sneak another move in versus fellow velocity driver of Bitford as they head in towards turns 4 and 5. He can't quite find it at the moment. Keep your eyes on McCluskey. He's quite silent down in the paddock. He does a lot of thinking with regards to the racing, just as much as the brilliant artwork he puts together for the series. And with that, I think right now it's always the silent ones you've got to watch out for, and McCluskey is at one of those stairs. He makes his way up towards turn number 1, and you see they're putting off the racing line. That is going to be none other than what is Duncan Race, who's a lap down, and well, after difficult race 1, it gets in worse in race number 2. But meanwhile, a bit further down the order, you can see race literally coming to a halt on the apex. They're trying to steer clear of all the racing, but that is going to, I think, upset the run of a few drivers. And well, as they make their way off through the corner, Jack Bolton right now roaring his way down in towards turns 2 and 3, and under braking he goes in to the right-hander, and the Grant Motorsport driver, I think, feeling confident as he comes on through and in towards what will be the run towards turns 4 and 5. They can continue this momentum all the way up towards what will be the Hunt versus Bennell Trier for the 3rd place spot on the prime podium. Speaking of all triers, you can see him here in the full tilt motorsport machine coming in towards the left-hander of what is at turns 4, and now with the right-hander of 5, all over the back of Daniel Downing, who's done well to recover after dropping all the way down to P6 in the class at the start of the race. He's picking his way back up and through the order, but as they make their way out to the right-hander onwards towards what will be turn number 1. With Downing right now, I think, trying to hustle away, and all triers the one who's got to follow him all the way if he can. But will he be able to do so? That's the question. You can see Gavin Gardner just watching behind the pro driver, who's also gained a lot of place. Remember, Gavin Gardner started outside the top 20 in race number 1. He's up to P13 in what is the opening stage of this 2nd race of the day. So Gardner right now picking the place off one by one, but the problem is he's only now inside the overall points, and he's had to spend a whole race to get to the overall points, and now he's got to try and do the damage limitation from this point onwards. How will he fare? How that will be the change that confronts him. But let's not forget as well, we've got an absolutely hungry pack of primes slow down the order here, and you're right on board with Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing as he looks to battle with Matthew Addy and Luke Jones. And well, this is going to be Sheraton looking at the inside in towards turn number 4. He's got very little space to do so, but he's going to open the door up here. It's going to be 3 wide on the brake, and Addy on the outside, Sheraton on the inside, and Jones is completely reverse Moses as they make the way out of 4 in towards 5. And well, he tries to sneak his way back in there, but indeed, absolutely brilliant fashion. Sheraton and what's Addy parted the seas and absolutely engulfed Jones in the process, but they're not quite done yet as they now fight for the 10th place spot in the prime class, or what is P22 overall. It's going to be Sheraton ahead by a nose as they make their way up towards turn number 1, heading towards the halfway point of this race, in towards Copse Corner. Addy's still there. Sheraton right now holding on. It's the battle of the 2 Matthews, and right now who's going to be the leading one here? All this talk of Moses Matthews, you'd think we're reading the Bible. No, it's the Bible of touring car racing. It's the NXTCC as they make their way down towards turn number 3, and as they do so, still 2 wide here as they come through the right-hander and roaring on through. Marcel Fritsch meanwhile, he's looking to try and fend off Sam Van Knowles, who's made a cheeky move up the inside there, seeing Fritsch going deep and says he'll willingly oblige. But as they power their way on down the back straight, there's still plenty more to come as Fritsch now looking for the counter-attack move in the tyre of Van Knowles, trying to go to outside to inside, and behind them Clemens watching on, but Addy's still ahead just by a small margin after what was a dismal race number 1, trying to pick everything back up in race number 2 here and doing exactly that. And if we right on board and look back from the rear of the 777 car, well, right now Sheraton, you can see firmly there in the Audi RS3. It's got the speed in the straights, but it hasn't necessarily got the rotation in the corners, and was so close, rubbing the rear bumper there of Addy's car as they power their way on towards another lap. And Addy here feeling comfortable right now as the 2 4-cylinder engines roar to their maximum RPM. In towards Cops Corner they go, and Matthew Addy confirming the move, making it stick here, and that's a P22 or P10 in the prime class as they make their way down towards turns 2 and 3. But as they do so, meanwhile, looking a bit further down the order, we do have some further battling there. Side by side between Clibbins and Van Ols. Clibbins up the inside, using the Honda's brakes to his advantage, and well, we're doing so now. The iRacing Esports driver feeling as though another move's made. How much further can he go today? Well, it's going to be Van Ols who looks for the comeback here as they make their way in towards turn number 4. He's going to be on the outside under the gantry, however, and that means that Clibbins is going to have the right to the ideal racing line, albeit if Van Ols can stay on the outside all the way to the inside of turn 5, he'll feel confident. As we can see there, Jones going a bit slowly. That's going to box in one is Van Ols. It's going to prevent him from being able to get fully alongside, but Clibbins goes a little bit deep. He can't quite get the speed he wants, and Van Ols does make the move happen in the end, and where it's a nice move from where it's Nick Clibbins initially, but it's Sam Van Ols who makes the better one at the end of the lap. Behind him, Mark Kent, your AM leader for Full Tilt Motorsport. Not quite sure what's happened to Harley Bicknell. You can see him there in the rear of your picture, but he's not making as much progress as he would like to. And Mark Kent right now for Full Tilt Motorsport just roaring away at the front of the AM class, as we do say hello to K-Teams in the Facebook chat there, who's enjoying the race and cheering on Kevin Smith. Speaking of Kevin Smith, well, he's in his own little battle with Mark Sykes here for P5 in the AM class. Well, it's P38 as they make the way out to turn number 1, and Smith now on the outside there, but still just slightly ahead of Sykes by nose. They make the way down into the brakes over turns 2 and 3. There's going to be 2 wide here into the break in the run, and Motorsport Drive giving all the space in the world there to Sykes, looking to try and cut back and try and squeeze the door shut on the exit, but Sykes places that Audi exactly where he needs to, and now he makes it more about a drag race here. But then again, notice the difference here in the fact that Veloster keen to get out of the gears initially, but now the Audi will start to power its way back on through, and Sykes looking to the inside into turn 4. All on the brakes here. Sykes going to be very bold with this, and in fact gets the car nicely stopped. Brilliant move back from Mark Sykes, and Kevin Smith now into wait and watch for another opportunity to be right on board with the 94 driver. The 2 drivers in the United Kingdom both enjoyed some great battling, and well, as they make the way on through turn at number 6. Right now it's very hard to tell which of these two's got the upper hand, albeit Sykes has got track position, but I don't think it's going to be long before Smith looks at an opportunity to have a look back at him in towards the next corner. As they make the way on to lap number 11, looking back up the order, we look to Shane Piggott in P18 as he finds himself sandwiched between the 2 prime drivers of Slavomir Drovosky and Alex Meredith. He's a prime himself, is Piggott, but the Ace of Spades racing driver, I think, would appreciate it if he wasn't under this much pressure. You can see Meredith there a little bit later on the brakes as they go in towards turn number 4 and out towards 5. Not going to make anything happen at this time, but they're in a long conga line of cars being led here by Jack Bolton, the Grant Motorsport driver. Well, I think he'll be feeling as though the confidence is continuing to flow as he makes his way on through turn number 6 up towards turn 1 he goes. And well, right now for Bolton, it's just about trying to keep the long train behind him. If he can't hunt down Ben Altria, then he'll just look to hold on for the first spot outside the prime podium places, that being P14 overall currently, or more importantly P4 in the class. And Alan McCain and Russell Fowler would love to take it off of him, but right now I think Jack Bolton knows exactly how strong the brakes are on that Honda, and he's going to make them work given the fact, oh goodness me, hold the fort as Alan McCain. There's contact between him and Russell Fowler. He goes straight on, and that is a nasty impact for Alan McCain, and I think that's going to be race ending for him. The suspension's collapsed on the car, and well, Russell Fowler right now, I think you can see some damage down the front left bumper over the wheel arch of the Performance League Esports Audi, so therefore the 2 of them come off bruised, but McCain even more so by comparison. And for Alan McCain, well, that's a disastrous way to conclude what will be his second race of the day. I suspect he'll try and get the car back out there in order to make sure he's eligible for the grid for the final race of the day, but still at the same time it's close racing, and that's what happens when they race this close at the Premier level of touring car racing. But when it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. And well, meanwhile for Bolton just in front, he'll look at his rear view mirror and think, okay, 1 down, I've now just got 1 of them to deal with in this battle, as meanwhile Drovosky keeps Shane Piggott behind there as they make the way onto lap 13. As they make the way on to this lap and charge on for what is the closing stage of this second race. Meanwhile, we look a bit further up the order to Joseph Doble. And Doble right now under some pressure from what is Jamie Dory. Keep in mind, of course, Jamie Dory starting P4 at the beginning of this race, but come the end of lap number 1, falling all the way down the order towards P8. He's fallen further to P10, and that'll be the penalty of the success ballast being added on top of the misfortune of the opening lap. And that's the thing as well, if you have a difficult start and you've got a lot of success ballast in the car, for Jamie Dory, the best part of weighs 30 kilograms in the car, then you lose the ability to race against other drivers as comfortably as you'd like to, and then you've got to start making tactical decisions, which is, do you battle or do you let them go and just try to make sure you salvage some key points? And I think here for Jamie Dory is the latter rather than the former. There's point, and I think he'll be taking Moises Colin Turkington-esque approach that has led into 2 drivers' championships in the past. Indeed, the second most decorated driver after close friend and also close rival Mikey Doe with 3 titles. They make the way onwards to another lap. But as they do, meanwhile, looking all the way right now, despite the fact that he's carrying the maximum success bias in the car, the Semper Racing driver is gradually pulling away at the very top. 7.5 tenths between himself and Mikey Doe, who finds himself under pressure from what is there Wayne Douglas behind in the battle for P2. Douglas looking for the move, taking the stiff of it into turn number 4, but can he find it? No, he can't. A little bit of contact there as they make their way into 5, just trying to get under Doble's skin. But to be fair, both drivers know exactly how it works with regards to contact in the racing, and little nudges and bumps are not going to deflate them. It only galvanises them more to battle, as meanwhile Luciano Vittel will be feeling the same way as we ride on board with the Dutchman in number 60, currently P5, chasing after Adam Delman, looking for an opportunity to take the first spot off of the podium places and potentially even go hunting for a podium finish before all is said and done, as they make the way out of what is their turn number 1 up towards 2 and 3. Well, right now the world of racing dry, he's close, but he's not close enough to look for that opportunity just yet as he comes down into the right-hander at turn number 3. As they roll off the apex there, the different manufacturer machines, indeed 4 different manufacturers, with 4 different machines, 3 different manufacturers, all in the space of 4 places. That's what we love to see. And right now it's all about different characteristics of the cars, min-max them as much as possible as Benjamin McCluskey continues to wait in the wings there in P6, looking for an opportunity in the next-gen machine. And as they come through the left into the right, Adam McNally, your pro-am leader for SRL with next-gen gold. The Englishman right now absolutely feeling confident in the 478 to bring home his first win of the season and his first win in the Prime class, and in doing so it'll be a great way to make his debut in the NXTCC as well, as he heads on to lap number 16. Only 3 more laps to go as he chases after Isaac Doble, and will right now of course picking up some major overall points as well, and well, that is going to be making him very happy indeed. But meanwhile, as we look to Daniel Downey, who's been passed by Ben Altria and Gavin Gardner, the Goldwing Motorsport driver, well, with all the weight he's carrying into this race, it's no surprise that the pace is starting to fall a little bit out of the car, but still he's on course for a potential 3rd place in the Prime class here, presuming that Jack Bolton's not able to get close, currently 1.3 seconds behind. So I think the Goldwing Motorsport driver is going to feel as though it's all coming together little by little, but Ben Altria with Gavin Gardner just in front will be a concern that he's got some increasing pressure. But Jack Bolton, meanwhile, he's still got what is right behind him, Russell Fowler, and Fowler's had enough. He's going to look for a move on the inside here, coming down into turn number 4. Bolton in contact there as he turns across. Fowler in the end, when they make contact together, and Bolton is sent all the way to the gravel, and well, will he get the car stopped? He does rub against the barrier in the end, and well, the camera angle there suggests that Bolton perhaps turns slightly across the line of what was Fowler, but then again, that's why we're in the broadcasting booth and the stewards who do everything after the race, who have all the camera angles available to them. But anyway, not the way Jack Bolton wanted it to go for Grant Motorsport, and well, whether it was his issue that was triggered, alternatively it was that Russell Fowler, the aftermath is that Jack Bolton leaves the gravel and back onto the circuit now, all the way down in P30, as he looks now try and bring himself back together. And with that P30, P17 the Prime class, and knowing what could have been this first race, but as meanwhile Ben Altria and Gavin Gardner start to fight here, well, they make the way out of turn number 3 and down the back straight they go. Keep your eyes on Daniel Downey, who's only 4 tenths behind this now. He's halved the delta very quickly indeed, and as they make the way in towards turn number 4, well, right now it's going to be Gardner who's going to defend on the inside. Altria being made to go deep. Here comes Downing, thinking about it. He's itching for an opportunity to get himself into P2 before this is said and done. But will he be able to find it here? Was our race leaders gone to the final lap of racing in this second race of the day? The drawers roar their way off the apex here. It's going to be one last charge for Downing if he can find a way to take the 2nd place Prime spot. Ben Altria is right in front of him. He'll feel so it's an open opportunity, but will the weight of the car hold him down? That's the challenge that confronts him. But as they make the way through, meanwhile Mark Kent is on course to take what will be the AM win with 1 more lap led. And right now P23 over, and he's in the last of the eligible reverse grid positions for what will be the final race of the day. Should the number 23 be drawn, we'll have to wait and see. But as he comes out of the corner, chased after none other than Luke Jones. And from them, ladies and gentlemen, meanwhile we do look to Altria versus Daniel Downing, and as they come on down the back straight. It looks like Altrier's got this in hand, but meanwhile, speaking of one driver right now, he leads the field on and around through the final major corner, and will, after what's a controlled win in race number 1, it was a slow speed bump at the start of this race, but he got into full momentum come the midpoint, and it's Wojciech Swierdajc who's going to make it 2 wins back-to-back here at Silverstone ahead of Mikey Doble, and Wayne Douglas completes your overall podium with Adam Delmont P4, Luciano Vitford P5 ahead of Benjamin McCluskey P6, Isaac Dole P7. Adam McNally comes on through to take his first ever Prime Class win on his debut in the NXTCC today in Season 6, ahead of Joe Stoll, Jamie Dory and Gavin Gardner. Ben Altree is your runner-up in the Prime Class ahead of Daniel Downing just behind him, who completes the Prime podium, and Mark Kent comes on through to take the AM win, his first AM win of the season. What a drive there, and indeed what a recovery drive from Harley Bicknell to make his way all the back to P29, but more importantly for him, one is a JW Motorsport driver P2 in the AM class, with Mark Sykes round off the AM podium, P34. And well, as more of the drivers make the way on through, I do believe we've got Patrick Falconer coming on through here shortly for P42 in the JW Motorsport machine, and then it will be Kieran Smart who will be taking P7 in the AM class, P43, then off Akram Zanoon to the finish line, and then well, they'll be your lead lap finishers, ladies and gentlemen, as we do have finishing the lap down Daniel Fritz, Gabriel Yilmaz and Alan McCain, but Akram Zanoon will be your last finisher on the lead lap, P44 for the organisation. But goodness me, what a race indeed. Our first race was absolutely spectacular, and then race number 2 took it up a notch, no doubt about it. But Wojciech Swierdajc not finding anybody who is able to hold his pace back so far, albeit Mikey Doble feels as though he had a chance to do so, and then again a season is built on 30 races, not 2, but still a marker being laid down, and Adam McNally will a great race win in the Prime class, and absolutely infallible, as was Mark Kent, who when he saw the open door, he took it and never looked back. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, as the rest of our drivers make the way into the pits, let's take you through those race results subject to Eddie Stewart's inquiries, and here they are. So in what was an absolutely enthralling race 2 of 3 here at the Silverstone circuit for round number 1 of Season 6 of the NXTCC, powered by IMB Racewear and brought to you on iRacing, Wojciech Swierdajc, your winner for Semper Racing by 7 tenths over Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing. Behind them, Wayne Douglas taking the 3rd place spot to mix up the podium, the overall podium that is for NextGen Pink. Fend off Adam Delmont to the finish line, with the SO and NextGen Gold driver holding on to P4 in the end ahead of World of Racing's Luciano Vitford, who makes it another top 5 for the Dutchman. Benjamin McCluskey P6 for NextGen Pink ahead of Isaac Doble, with the Doble Sim Racing drive being chased down by Adam McNally in the closing stages, and with Adam McNally taking a P8 overall, and for the SRO and NextGen Gold driver, the Pro-Am win, and what a performance. Josie Doble and Jamie Dory for Doble Sim Racing NextGen Pink completing your top 10, with what was Jamie Dory having a difficult start to the race, and in the end being compounded by the weight in the Audi, and therefore having to try and take a top 10 finish and doing exactly that, and then Gavin Garner best of P11, and made his way almost into the top 10 there for NextGen Pink, but at the same time getting ahead of 2nd place Prime finisher P12 overall Ben Altrier, with the full tilt V Motorsport driver under pressure from Goldwyn Motorsport's Daniel Downing, but in the end Downing being made to take the final spot on the Prime podium, P13 overall. Russell Fowler and Slavomir Travoski completed what was your top 15 and were at the top 5 of the Prime class, with the Performance Link Esports and Semper Racing drivers being followed up by Shane Piggott and Alex Meredith, and in your top 20 being rounded off by Lee Horn, Matthew Addy and Matthew Cheverton. Matthew Cheverton having a much better race compared to what was race number 1, enjoying a great battle with Matthew Addy, who got the upper hand in the end, and behind the Aztec Racing driver iRacing Esports' Nick Clemens and JW Motorsports' Luke Jones, with the run of Prime drivers being then ended by your AM winner P23 overall, and in the final eligible potential reverse grid position for our final race of the day, and that being full tilt V Motorsports' Mark Kent. Marcel Fritsch, P24 for WS Racing Esports, halved his deficits to the front of the field after what was race number 1, with Jack Jeffries P25, and then Mark Redford, Jack Bolton and John Higgins Jr. running through the P28, with a special mention there to Jack Bolton, the Grant Motorsport driver, who was doing very well to hold on to what would be a 4th place finish in the Prime class until that late contact between himself and what was Russell Fowler. Then completing your top 30, your 2nd place AM driver Harley Bicknell, P29 for JW Motorsport, and Kieran Sharp, the Sim Racing Collective driver, after a difficult race 1, made his way into P30 come the end of race 2. Piotr Jegostowski, P31 ahead of Stuart Wyniss, with Sam Smith and Mark Sykes and Craig Tiddleston completing your top 35. And a special mention to Mark Sykes there for the third place spot in the AM class for Next Gen. Head of Fusion Races Craig Tillotson, who made it what was the first of the AM positions outside the podium. His best result of the season so far. Re-Swat P36 ahead of Kevin Smith of Rhino Motorsport, who completes the AM top 5 and enjoying some great battling in the space of time of race 2. And then to complete the top 40, it was Sam Vidal's, Tom Anderson and Ian Manners. And coming on to the last finishers on the lead lap, Jonathan Collins, Patrick Falconer, Kieran Smart and Akram Zanoon, with a lap down to Daniel Fritz, Gabriel Yilmaz and Alan McCain, and then 3 laps down to Darren Ills, who will be your last finisher on was 3 laps down, 6 laps down for Duncan Moraes, who did complete the race as he completed over half the race distance. And then we did have our sole retiree, unfortunately, of Riley Sheringham for Virtual Reality Autosports, retiring from the race 11 laps from the end. But that concludes race number 2, ladies and gentlemen, and we've still got one more race to go. Would you believe it? Indeed, it's absolutely breathtaking here at the Silverstone National Circuit. And with what is race number 3 only around the corner, that does, of course, bring up the big question of what about the reverse grid draw? Well, good evening to you all. We're here in the commentary booth, and I hope you're all enjoying the racing so far, because I can tell you one thing, it's already leading to my throat getting dry, and the fact the calibre of the racing is absolutely incredible, but I'm going to soldier on all the same. And for the reverse grid today, given the fact that normally we would use the Next Gen Racing Lottery Bowl, but of course not being available at the time, it was done using a number randomizer from our organiser for the series, Jamie Dory, and the number picked out of the internet-based Lottery Bowl was none other than the number 17. And that does mean that Alex Meredith will be taking what will be your reverse grid pole position for the final race of the day here at the Silverstone National Circuit. So Alex Meredith will be on pole position, and he'll be joined on that front row by Shane Piggott. It's a prime front row, and indeed what will be a top 6 of primes, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what that means? It's going to be tense, it's going to be terse, and we're going to be back in approximately what will be 10 minutes time for the build up to race number 3. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you very shortly. We are back one final time tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for the build-up to race 3 of 3 here in round 1 of the NXTCC Season 6, powered by IMB Racewear and brought to you on iRacing. And, well, the clouds continue to sit over the Silverstone National Circuit, but at the same time as well, the only thing that's going to be pouring in right now, well, it's not going to be rain droplets, it's going to be absolutely top-notch class racing, and we saw plenty of that in race number 2, carrying on from exactly where we left off in race number 1, and was Nick Clemens and Alan McCain make the way on around it for iRacing Esports, and Clemens having some great racing in the Pro-Am class, no doubt about it. Come what was the midpoint and the end of race number 2, he'll be looking to go even further in this final race of the day. And well, speaking of the final race of the day, we have got an absolute cracker on our hands for the simple reason it's a top 17 reverse grid, and with reverse grids comes the big question, of course, of who is exactly going to be the one to carve the way through in the pros in particular and go for the overall win if they can, particularly when you've got 6 primes on what is the front 6 spots of the grid, and at the very front of them, the 17th place finisher from race number 2, you're looking at him, Alex Meredith for NXTGEN, and he will be very eagerly looking to try and add his name to the history books of which 4 drivers who have taken overall wins outside of the pro class. And the very first driver to do it was back in season 2 in race number 3 at the Motorsport Arena, Oschersleben being at Racewear. We've also had Matthew Shepperton add his name to that group, was Trinity Motegi back in season 3, race number 3, I do believe, and well, in between that as well, we also had Matthew Addy do so, albeit the race exactly where he did it escapes me, and I believe he's done it twice, Matthew Addy. He's been the first driver to ever do it twice, but always we've had 4 instances of that, and could Alex Meredith become our 5th Pro-Am driver to do so? And well, we've got Pro-Ams who are starting up behind him. We've also got plenty further down the field, and also further down the field we've had 1 race win in the AM class, in our new class this season, for Harley Bicknell in the JW Motorsport Hyundai Elantra, and we've also had a win for Mark Kent, fellow Audi driver there for Full Tilt Motorsport. And well, these two I think will be very eagerly sizing one another up and thinking about which one of them is going to get the rights, or the bragging rights we should say, to what will be that second win in the class today, if either of them could do it, because we have had some brilliant standout performances from other AM drivers, including Riley Sheringham from Virtual Reality Autosports, who's very unfortunate to be pointed in the wrong direction after the opening couple of laps in race number 2. I think he'll be eager to try and make amends to what was a race that just didn't go his way. And of course, you also have the question of Mark Sykes, who was in at the end another podium finisher in both of the races so far in the AM class, and I think he'll be very eager to try and push a bit further, as will Kevin Smith and Verano Motorsport, as all drivers gradually wind themselves off. Also, the other thing you've got to keep your eyes on is the fact that in these reverse grid races, the success bus has been updated based on the results of race number 2. So therefore, with a reverse grid and the weight in the car, well, Mikey Doe will be starting P16. And the challenge that the drivers have always spoke about in the final race of the day, particularly when you're starting further down from that reverse grid and the success bars, is you're fighting against the weight just as much as you are with the other drivers around you. And sometimes you just don't have the attacking power depending on the circuit. And we've definitely seen the Silverstone circuit really does put a lot of focus onto the power deployment coming out of the corners, and I think that is definitely going to be something that double sim racing driver, much like Semper Racing's Wojciech Swirodovic, who you can see there just in front of him as we look to the Semper Racing driver, they'll both be very cognizant of the fact they have got to do things the hard way, and every place gained is going to be for attrition, and indeed being as bold as they dare to dream to do so on the brakes. We are only approximately 2.5 minutes away from going to the grid for our final race today, and it's great to see so many of you enjoying the races so far. Indeed, we say hello to Verano Motorsport there in the YouTube chat, talking about race number 2 from the perspective of what was Kevin Smith, and saying that unfortunately had to miss race number 3 due to delays. There was a bit of a delay between the transition from race 2 to race 3 due to a slight technical issue in hosting the races, so therefore we might be missing a couple more drivers, but still those drivers we still do have here. As we always like to say, it's not about the quantity of drivers on the grid, it's about the quality, and all of them deserve a round of applause for the level of quality they've demonstrated so far in the first 2 races. And so that's a quality drift and power slide there through turn 1 from Wojciech Swirodovic, showing off on cool effectively. And well, as we also do say hello to John Meredith in the YouTube chat, who asked the question about the NXTGEN Racing hoodie that we're wearing in the Contour booth. Unfortunately, we don't quite have it available at the moment, but what we do have is the availability of drivers to head to the grid, because it's time for race number 3. So the drivers make the way on to the grid. Unfortunately, we can't walk you down the grid order precisely due to limitations of an iRacing replay file, but we can see our drivers all start to fit themselves into position here. And we'll, as you can see, Alex Meredith right at the front of the grid. They're going to be your P1 starter, and once everyone just gradually fits the way into order. Right now, further down the order, Stuart Wynis, a driver who's definitely had a lot of great battles today for Track Scotland, and he'll be looking to try and go a bit further come the end of this one, starting outside the top 20, starting a bit further down, not quite P34, but I do believe starting in what is the region around P24, and I think he'll be feeling as though moves can be made, and there's a lot of possibilities here. And of course, with the question of that reverse grid, a lot of fighting happens early on. Could we see some early incidents that shake up the order? Well, Duncan Moraes will be hoping so, just given the fact he's had 2 races so far, but he's finished at least a lap down. He won't want to make it a third on the bounce, and the Goldwing Motorsport driver would like to have a little bit more luck come his way, but will he be able to do so? Well, the grid is set, ladies and gentlemen. All the drivers get themselves into position, the lights are on, and well, here we go. It's lights out and away we go for our final race of the day, and Alex Meredith looks to get a good start. Meanwhile, slow start there from Shane Piggott behind, but Piggott picking back up now. As Slavomir Trafalgar looks around the outside with the Semper Racing driver going all in here into Cops corner, but that's going to cause him to go a bit deep. Coming out the corner down towards turns 2 and 3 they go. Russell Fowler and Daniel down there also looking to get in the mix. Gavin Gardner trying to poke his way up the inside of Downing into turn number 3. The pro driver right now trying to make the early gains here, and indeed he knows how, as he's got Jamie Dory following him through. The next gen pink drives working together here, but Alex Meredith has already started to run away, as it's going to be 3 wide as they power the way down the back straight, albeit Russell Fowler cuts back to the middle of the road behind his rivals. But there, Shane Piggott and John Vosky making their way down to the braking zone. It's going to be John Vosky around the outside here versus Piggott, but Piggott says no you don't, and absolutely extends the braking zone the full distance. Russell Fowler tries to get back into the mix as all the drivers made the way through. Oh goodness me, and there's contact there for Ben Aldria, who's turned sideways across the road in contact there with Benjamin McCluskey, I do believe, and Mikey Dowd will also just avoid the contact as a result, as they all scramble off of turn number 5 on towards Woodcock corner 6 they go. Well, here you can see it's going to be Wojciech Swierdowski and Wayne Douglas side by side, both of them close on Adam McNally, the race 2 prime winner, and right now under major pressure to hold on, but McNally's not going to be able to do so as they come through. There's also been contact there. I think Swierdowski going deep. Well, in fact, that's not Swierdowski, that is, I believe, Adam McNally. Cars off in the rear of the picture as well. It's pandemonium at turn 1, and well, we'll try to see what that is. I believe Mark Kemp was one of the drivers who fell foul there. Also, I believe that's one of the SRL machines that fell foul. Not quite sure who, but as they all make the way down in towards turn number 3, those have been able to survive it, gain as a result at the expense of others. And right now, Sam Smith fighting here versus Mark Sykes, the 2nd place AM driver, taking on what is the 16th place Brian drivers. They make the way onwards towards the next braking zone, but as they do, well, meanwhile, excuse me, we do look from where's further down the order to a little bit further up the order to your AM leader, Hardy Bignell. He's had an absolutely brilliant start compared to what seems to be the trials and tribulations of Mark Ken, who was off in the rear of the picture as we saw at Watts Cops corner. And right now, Hardy Bignell making more progress here, battling side by side, harsh and fast with Kieran Sharp, and well, there's no love lost between them as they make the way up through turn number 6 and onwards towards lap number 3 they go. But 2 wide as they roar their way in towards the next braking zone with Peter Jegoslavsky and Mark Redford just behind. Redford defends on the inside there as they come through the right hand of the privateer right now, and with some further contact there, Redford goes deep and long, and as a result the 738 driver brings it back to, oh goodness me, there's contact, and it triggers off, it's a domino effect there, and that's going to be Marcel Fritsch who's turned across, and well, I think that rejoin there will be subject to the steward's inquiries for Redford, as that has cost a lot of places for a number of drivers. And Craig Tillotson meanwhile just avoids all the carnage, and suddenly he finds himself at P2 in the AM class, battling side by side with Jonathan Collins. Well, these two right now, I don't think they're going to quite believe it. I don't think they're quite even aware of what's happened, and I think by the time they come around to go on to the next lap, they have it fed through to their ear from their team principals of how much they've gained, and now they won't want to look back, but they'll fight each other even more. And Tillotson right now could be, of course, what would be his best ever result, but as he makes his way in towards turn number 5, he'll know he's got to do it the hard way versus Collins, and meanwhile just in front, well, that is going to be Tom Anderson, who's not giving in whatsoever, as Duncan Moraes, well, right now he's definitely been fed up on staying right at the back of the field for what's been the first 2 races. He tries to carve his way up another place versus Alan McCain. But meanwhile, looking up from these drivers, we look back up to Daniel Downing, who right now, the Goldwing Motorsport driver, trying to make some more progress as they head down to turns 2 and 3, side by side with Isaac Doble. And Isaac Doble on the inside there, in towards the right hand of 3, and as he does so, well, meanwhile, Wayne Doug has been squeezed the apex there by Joseph Doble and Adam Delbert. and I suspect Wayne Douglas having to back off there through fear of damage to the car. We've been saying that the front bumper's already raised up. Indeed, the bonnet's also been raised up as a result of some earlier contact, and as they go 3 wide, in towards turn number 4, where it's going to be Douglas, who tries to go for the most manoeuvre, backs out in the end, and will Benjamin McCluskey, meanwhile, outside to inside, fighting versus Delmont, but Delmont gets ahead, using the leverage of the brakes of that Honda to his advantage. As you can see there, Mikey Dole just being held in place right now, and as they make the way on through, well, the car you saw go off earlier was Wojciech Swierdowicz, was turn at number 1 at Cops Corner, and we did see one of the Semper Racing machines get it very wrong, and there's the explanation, the fact that now he's got up behind Matthew Addy and Jack Jeffries all over the back of this ride on board here with the Red Grove Projects driver. As they're heading towards turn number 1, fighting with the steering wheel, they're siphoning away. It's going to be another error from Swierdowicz, and well, with that, oh goodness me, and it's going to be Jeffries who's turned around in collective contact there with Swierdowicz. I'm not quite sure what triggered of that. I think Swierdowicz was hit by another driver, but they both recover, and Swierdowicz's car right now is lurching quite heavily. I wouldn't be surprised that's a potential run to the pits for Swierdowicz. And Jack Jeffries right now, we will have to see whether the steering's pointed in a straight line, but that could also be a visit to the pits for him, as he's knocked all the way down on P32. And you could feel that come through the camera when the impact happened, and we're not quite sure what's happened there, but we know what the aftermath is. But meanwhile, looking back to your pro leaders, albeit they don't fight for points in class, they fight for points overall only. Cameron Gardner and Luciano Vitford right now back inside the top 5. It is all the battle about P5 overall, as these two make the way side by side onto another lap. Onto lap 6 they go. The top 4 primes are just running away in front of them, and meanwhile Gardner and Vitford are too busy fighting each other. And I think we could be seeing a new prime overall winner here today, with Alex Meredith ahead of Slavomir Javosky right now. There's Shane Pickett and Russell Fowler behind. Then you've got Luciano Vitford P5 ahead of Gavin Gardner, and then Isaac Doble fights up the inside here as Vitford clears Gardner, but now Doble finds himself going nice and tight on the inside. Gardner tries to adventure around the outside, but these cooler track temperatures are catching out a lot of drivers on the braking. You can see the squirming on the tyres right now. There's not as much heat in the car, and therefore it is making those grip levels very tenuous indeed. But Gardner drops to P7, Jamie Doring P8, Daniel Downing P9, Joseph Dole P10, and Adam Dole on P11 currently, as they all make the way to braking, but Luciano Vitford still keeping eyes at Dole at bay as Jamie Doring and Gavin Gardner swap places, and Will Gardner right now under even more pressure from Downing and Doble as they make the way out of Wade's turn at number 5, and we ride aboard here looking back from the rear at the Hyundai Veloster of Gavin Gardner. As they power their way onwards towards another lap. Well, right now Gardner will be grateful for a little bit of respite here with the fact that Downing and Joseph Dole onto the fighting coverage to Cops Corner. It's going to cost them a lot of time as Joseph Dole gets the inside line, but you'll notice there it's almost if Adam Delman's trying to poke his nose between the two and say, can I come and play? And will Joseph Dole say, no you can't. Adam Delman says, I wasn't asking. And as they make their way down to the braking zone here, well, it's going to be 3 wide as they come down. It's normally best at 2 wide, but Adam Delman goes for 1. He goes for 2. Can he make it happen? The SO NXTGEN gold driver. Well, if he goes all in, here's the battle of the 2 gold machines, and right now both of them the gold class points, but Delman doesn't get the run out the corner, and in the end has to settle behind Downing, who absolutely nails that perfectly on corner exit. Joseph Dole still fighting there, and Delman right now will feed him the pain of weight of the car, plus also the poor acceleration of Honda, but he's got those brakes, and again he's going for a 2-for-1 special here. Well, I don't know if Adam Delman right now is trying to capitalise on the spring sales or whatnot, but he seems to feel as though he can go for specials time and time again, and we'll have to see it as he makes for turn 5 and on towards 6. They go to lap number 8, and right now Adam Delman's still ahead by nose versus Joseph Dole, but where's Benjamin McCluskey closed up behind, also Mikey Doble watching on here, and right now they're all fighting for the 10th place spot in the pros in terms of the battle between Delman and Doble, and then P9 from Downing, and Daniel Downing right now will be very eagerly just trying to pull away from this and hope he can clear the battling and let them all fight over it in amongst themselves, because right now as they make their way down in towards turn number 3, will still side by side they go, but Delman this time slightly ahead. But the problem is he can get ahead as much as he wants to, but on that outside line, he's got to turn for a wider circumference of corner. It's going to cost him some speed, but he finds a way to get it done, and Joseph Doble finally relents and gives it after what has been a brilliant 2 laps of battling between these two. I suspect there's plenty more to come, but right now Mikey Doble's thinking, I want to get involved here, looks to cut up the inside of Benjamin McCluskey, does exactly that for turn 4. McCluskey's on the inside to 5, but I think Doble feels like he's got the confidence to just bury the throttle corner exit and carry some of the speed. McCluskey extends the car off the corner, a bit of a rub between them to make sure that Doble can't get the line he would like. But meanwhile, further down the order, ladies and gents, we have got some drama. That is Tom Anderson pointing in the wrong direction on the exit of turn number 4. I believe there's been contact between Tom Anderson and what is another driver. Not quite sure 100% who, but I believe he's been turned, and the Promising Esports driver now trying to turn himself back the right way. And what we can confirm, the Wojciech Swiatek did have to take a pit stop after that damage picked up in that contact, the domino contact we saw from turn number 1, and will right now bring it all back together. And well, this has not been the final race of the day that he will have wanted, as he fights his way past Kieran Smart and Riley Sheringham, who have their own little battle here for P7 in the YAM class, and Sheringham on the inside there. Meanwhile, Kieran Smart around the outside, and the Track Scotland driver will get the move done there versus the number 4. But as we go from the virtual reality Autosports driver to a bit further up the order in the AM class, this is Daniel Fritz versus Reese Watt. It's the battle of the AM versus the Prime, and Fritz right now back it off here for Whiskey Runner Racing. I think recognising the fact that Watt can carry him up towards Tillotson and also Gabriel Yilmaz. And we've had further change with Tillotson falling out to P2. Jonathan Collins, meanwhile, P2 in the class and continuing to run rampant, trying to chase down Harley Bicknell, who's only 3 places up the road. But look at this from McCain and Jeffries. Jeffries on the inside, McCain on the outside, and right now Jeffries been squeezed to the wall. There's more contact, and it's going to be McCain turned to the wall. Jeffries in the end ends up having to T-bone him across the road, and well, I don't think the two cars can get separated, but it's drama on the start finish straight. How they've avoided contact with other cars, presuming they have, I don't know, but Jack Jeffries' car is smoking, and the Red Groves Projects driver, it's all over today. Surely that's going to be a tow to the pits, and not a happy one at that. And well, they'll definitely be looking at in the stewards room after today. As meanwhile, Luke Jones and Sam Vanol's fight for P14, P50 in the Prime class, fighting for the final points in the Prime class. And with that, Vanol's right now trying to get some points to the board after what's been a nightmare start to the season in these first 2 races. Belgian on the inside here, Jones on the outside to the inside, making his way through turns 4 into 5. But Vanol's is going to get the move done there and not backing down, not at all, as he makes his way clear of the turn 5 apex. But meanwhile, we look back to your overall leaders. We haven't talked about them for some time. They've been starting to get closer together. It's Alex Meredith who still leads this race on lap number 11 of 18. He's been leading since the start with Slavomir Trofovski behind. And then it's going to be Shane Piggott watching on the 3rd place spot as they make the way down in towards turn number 3. And Trofovski there getting quite close on the braking as we ride on board here with the Ace of Spades racing driver Shane Piggott, who right now I think might be sensing there could be some contact going between these two, given the fact we see Trofovski go quite deep under braking there and is holding the distance of what is about 4 to 5 tenths at the moment. So he might be also doing a little bit of tyre work here, just trying to protect the car and giving some more pace later on in the race. But could Piggott find a way to get himself in amongst these two? Well, as you can see there, Meredith and Jaworski both going deep. We know this Elantra does have some very aggressive tyre wear on the front tyres compared to its peers, particularly when those track temperatures start to push towards 40 degrees centigrade. There's no one near that at the moment. But the point is the fact, even in these corner track conditions, the tyres on the Elantra will go first, and the Veloster driver right now has just got to be patient. His time will come. If he can keep within this distance, going to the last 3 or 4 laps, he will have the tyre life to really start to mount an attack. But as they make the way onwards, meanwhile, I'm hearing this drama down the pit lane. All 3 of the Doble cars have had to retire due to a technical issue. I do believe all 3 drivers of Isaac, Mikey and Joseph have all had an unfortunate disconnect from the iRacing lobby, and if so, that's the equivalent of an engine blowout. Well, for all 3 of them, that is going to put them out of the racing today and enable a number of drivers to gain 3 places at maximum. But meanwhile, Alex Meredith is side by side with Slavomir Trofovski. Trofovski looking on the inside but can't quite find it, and the way he thinks about it, he's going to try and commit to him. Meredith gives it the space. It's a bit of a bump between the 2 of them, but that's racing as they make the way in towards turn number 5. And as they do, well, right now Meredith on the inside, Jaworski trying to go around the outside, but Meredith getting his elbows out, saying no, you don't, as we ride aboard and look back from the rear of the race leader for NXTGEN as they head onwards towards lap number 13. As they power the way through, Piggott still only 2 attempts behind. He's getting closer. There you can see the Ace of Spades racing driver. He knows now he's got to be close. He may get a chance shortly. We'll have to wait to see as they come through Cops Corner. Meredith still in control here. Meanwhile, Jamie Dory 2 seconds behind the leading pro driver in P4. He's got ahead of Luciano Vitford. He's trying to catch up to this fight as they head on down onto the brakes. And as they do, well, right now Jaworski there. You can see the damage on the front of that Hyundai Elantra where they've been fighting and where there's been some bumps and graves previously, and right now these cars have definitely seen a better life over the course of what is the racing before today, in terms of they're actually clean cars going into race number 1, and now they come out absolutely Racewear. But as they come down in towards what is turn number 4, Right now, Meredith just holding on here, but looking on the inside, it's going to be Dravoski going into the corner. There's contact between them, and Meredith is turned sideways, and Slawomir Dravoski takes the lead in this race, albeit under slightly controversial circumstances, and Shane Piggott watches on and waits now, as it's going to be Slawomir Dravoski who leads his first lap of racing on his debut day here in the NXTCC, and well, as he does, it's now going to be the two leading primes, with Alex Meredith dropping all the way down the order to P19 of what is P10 in the prime class. And with Piggott there just behind him, you've got Jamie Dorey in at P3, and right now the leading pro driver pushing on, and I wouldn't be surprised right now if Shane's potentially just thinking, as in Shane Piggott is sat there thinking, well, there could be a penalty coming the way for Dravoski after the race. Well, that's something that will only be decided from the stewards, so therefore the Ace of Spades Racing Drive's got to now make a call, which is, does he just stay behind with, say, 5 seconds, flashing his lights there to Dravoski, I think, to try and get into his head and say, look, I know what you've done, and now I'm coming for the place, or whether alternatively he goes to the move anyway and gambles on it. Not to say Dravoski is not going to try and defend as hard as fair as he can, but of course it does get close, it gets tense, and that's when incidents do occur between drivers. But Piggott's now got to make a decision of his own, which is, does he rely on the stewards to do the overtake for him after the race, or does he do it on circuit? As meanwhile, Daniel Downey here, well, he's out to try and keep what is both Russell Fallon and Wayne Douglas behind him as they make their way out of the final major corner onto lap 15 they go, and Daniel Downing right now, I wouldn't be surprised here if a number of the pros around here are thinking, could this man be promoted to pro class piece, because he's putting on a pro performance defending as they make their way through turn number 1. Meanwhile, Russell Fowler in contact with Wade Douglas is sent to the tyre barrier at Cops Corner, and the Performance League Esports driver, it's a light touch to the barrier, but the damage is done in the fact he drops all the way down the order. Meanwhile, Matthew Addy now trying to pick his way along through what is Benjamin McCuskey, but John Hinckley Jr. in the end sneaks up the inside. It's a battle for P5 in the prime class once again here between John Hinckley Jr. and Matthew Addy as they make their way down towards turn number 4. Well, behind them you've also got Nick Clemens and Kieran Sharp fighting the Sim Racing Collective drivers, coming on strong in the late stage of this race, but Higgins Jr. holding the outside to the inside of turn number 5 as they all coming down, but everyone you can see trying to point the nose of the cars immediately into apex. Everyone's scrambling for that inside line, and as they make their way on through turn number 5 up towards 6, right now Patrick Falconer behind, finding his way past Kieran Sharp, the JW Motorsport driver, making a smooth move, and Nick Clemens coming on through with him here as they head in towards what will be the 16th turn of this circuit under race conditions in this race. As they roar their way on through the right-hander, Stuart Wine is battling side by side over at Crimson. Both of these drivers find themselves a bit further down the order than they would like, but they've also had some great racing today. There goes Alex Meredith as well, looking to try and make it a three-way fight for what is effective for them, the best part of P8 in the prime class, with Peter Jigger and Sam Smith behind, but Meredith goes deep. Patrick Falconer has gone long, and Will Falconer, we're not quite sure what's happened, but he's bringing the car around right now on the exit of turn number 3. The Stuart Wine is being passed there by Alex Meredith, and a smooth move from the NXTGEN driver. The track Scotland driver's got more pressure from Jigger behind as they head down towards turn number 4 here, and right now everybody is running low on energy. You can tell in the fact that it's getting a little bit scrappy there for Nick Clemens versus Zach Crimson. Meredith's looking around the outside. That's brave. That's incredibly brave from Alex Meredith. He takes one, but he loses one. And Stuart Winer says, well, there's plenty of space on the inside. Why is nobody taking it? And the Track Scotland driver absolutely nips up the inside and moves into P8 in the prime class. Meredith Smith and what is now Clemens, with the iRacing Esports drivers all over the back of the NXTGEN driver. They can't find a way through. As you can see that Clemens flashing his lights. He's absolutely furious with how that's all played out. It's not worked out for him at all whatsoever. Meanwhile, Harley Bicknell at the back of all this, your Ram leaders just watching and thinking, I don't want to be anywhere near that at all, as they make their way upwards towards what will be turn number 3 for the penultimate time today. He's got teammate Luke Jones right behind, but he's got a sizable gap to second place Sam driver Jonathan Collins, who's got Gabriel Yilmaz closing on him like a missile right now. And indeed, Yilmaz is going ballistic for the second place spot on the AM podium, but I don't think he's going to make his mark here unless he finds 6/10 in this final lap and then can go for the move. But Collins will give it everything to hold on to what will be his first ever AM podium as they make the way through. But from them, meanwhile, we look back to your race leaders, as there is Riley Sheringham stepping aside under blue flag conditions. Slawomir Dravoski, meanwhile, goes to take the white flag. It's the final lap of racing here at the Silverstone National Circuit today. And as they make the way on through turn number 1, there's Jamie Dorey all over the back of Shane Piggott. And right now, Dorey in a drag race here. He's going to be on the outside over turn 2 to 3. Goes out on the braking, but Piggott's not going to back off here as they make the way through the corner. Or is he? As Dravoski will be happy. He'll be pleased to see that Piggott is stuck behind and fighting. It's going to buy him time. It's going to buy him breathing room, but Dory is going to get ahead, and with 4.5 attempts, has he got enough here? Can he find a way to get ahead of the prime leader? Or could we see what would be a 5th ever prime overall win and a 4th try to add their name to that poll? Well, Jamie Dory clears what is Shane Piggott, but meanwhile, as he heads on through the final major corner, well, the checker flag is going to beckon, and for the Semper Racing driver, it may not be the perfect way through. He'll deal with that after the race, but one thing he'll take right now with both arms is that he adds his name to the history books with a Slavomir Javoski on his debut, takes the overall win as a Pro-Am winner as well. And what a drive for the Semper Racing driver ahead of Jamie Dory, with Shane Piggott your runner-up in the prime class and the 3rd place in the overall podium. Luciano Vitt for P4 ahead of Gavin Gardner, with Adam Delmont and Daniel Downing your 3rd place finisher in the prime class. Wayne Douglas, Lee Horn and Matthew Sheraton complete your top 10. Harley Bicknell has come on through to make it a 2nd-hand win today, P23 overall for the JW Motorsport driver, with Jonathan Collins in the end fending off Gabriel Yilmaz to line to take 2nd place in the AM class, his 1st ever class podium. What a drive in the 1-2-3 drive. Gabriel Yilmaz your 3rd place finish in the AM class. He'll be absolutely pleased with that as well for Aztec Racing. And well, with our last couple of drives to finish their races, Wojciech Swerodowicz, it all went wrong in this race, but still 2 wins back-to-back at the start. He won't complain too much of that. He'll know it's been a good start with regards to the points, and with Mikey Doble's disconnection as well, it means it levels the playing field, and Marcel Fritsch will be your last finisher on the lead lap. 42 lead lap finishers. He takes P42, P25 in the prime class, head of Riley Sheringham, Mark Sykes, and they will be your last finishers a lap down with a disconnection to the Doble brothers, putting them P45 through to P47, and Jack Jeffries and Mark Kent behind them. But goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, what a final race for today. Indeed, it has been absolutely packed with drama, no doubt about it. Brilliant races as well to be had. And as all the drivers gradually make their way into the pit lane, albeit we're trying to find a good number of them. An unfortunate end to the race for Alex Meredith, who was leading in the Pro-Am class. And, well, I wouldn't be surprised if a steward's inquiry is going to go in with regards to the contact between himself and Slavomir Javoski. He won't be too pleased with that. But still, Meredith definitely showing that pace we saw from Season 5 once again. And, well, he'll be looking to go even further in round number 2. You can count on it as he makes his way into the pit lane. But as he does so, all the drivers making the way on him. And, well, the AM class state also getting a demonstration of some brilliant racing between drivers, and I think our AM's definitely all fired up for a season ahead. You see Gabriel Yilmaz, they're doing reverse donuts in the pit lane. He's happy with the podium he's achieved, and well, we've had a happy day of racing, no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see so many of you enjoying the racing in the chats, and well, let's take you through the race results, subject to any stewards' inquiries for our final race of the day. Well, after another 18 laps of racing in race number 3 of round 1 of the NXTCC Season 6, powered by IMB Racewear here at the Silverstone National Circuit today, Slavomir Javoski taking the overall and Pro-Am win, adding his name to a limited list of individuals, but it's slowly growing from season to season, and taking that win for Semper Racing by 4 attempts over NXTGEN at Pink's Jamie Dory. The leading pro driver taking 2nd place, and he'll be happy to have snuck his way ahead of Shane Piggott on the final lap, with the Ace of Spades racing driver knowing he gave it his all today, but couldn't quite find a way to get ahead of Javoski or Dory come that final checkered flag. But the Ace of Spades racing driver, he won't complain. He's taken 2nd place in the AM class, and the 3rd place overall. That's a huge ejection of points going into round number 2. Luciano Vitford, P4 for World of Racing ahead of Gavin Gardner, who rounds off the top 5 of NXTGEN Pink. Then Adam Delmont for SO and NXTGEN Gold, fending off Daniel Downing by 4 attempts, with Daniel Downing completing it was your Pro and Podium P7 overall for Goldwing Motorsport, and what's been a very strong start to his season for the number 17 driver, with all 3 races on the podium. And Wayne Douglas P8 for NXTGEN Pink ahead of NXTGEN's Lee Horn and Matthew Sheraton, missing out on what was the podium of the Prime class, but still a P4 in Prime, a P10 overall. It's definitely been a great reversal given the fact that come the end of race number 1, the car was in the pit lane. John Higgins Jr., P11 for the Sim Racing Collective, ahead of Benjamin McCluskey, with the NXTGEN Pink driver leading ahead of Matthew Addy, Kieran Sharp and Akram Zanunu completing your top 15. And special mention to the organisation driver there after what was a difficult race number 1, and also a bit of an uphill battle in race number 2, finding P15 overall for an overall point, plus also P7 in the Prime class, a great way to end his day here. Stuart Winus, great battling from the track Scotland driver, showing great potential in the Prime class in his debut, P16 ahead of Alex Meredith, with iRacing Sports' Sam Smith P18 ahead of what was Piotr Jegosevsky and Nick Clevins, who completed your top 20. From the iRacing Esports driver, it was Goldwing Motorsports Sam Van Olst ahead of Luke Jones, with Harley Bicknell making it 2 AM wins today, and also second place in race number 2 for the JW Motorsport driver, proving to be the man to beat in the AM class, it would seem, ahead of Russell Fowler and Patrick Falconer. Ian Menez and Reese Watt, the JW Motorsport drivers, P26, P27 ahead of second place AM finisher Jonathan Collins, P28 for the Whiskey Runner Racing driver, and he'll be absolutely pleased with that. And then Gabriel Yilmaz, your final finisher on the AM podium at P29 overall for Aztec Racing, ahead of Daniel Fritz, the Whiskey Runner Racing driver, a further 1 second behind. Couldn't quite get on the podium in this race, but will be happy with a top 5 finish. Alan McCain P31 ahead of Craig Tillerson, and the Fusion Racing driver 9 at one point. A P2 could have been on the cards for even a podium. It wasn't to be, but he'll take pride and motivation for the fact he was batting for the podium in the AM class today, and his paces continue to improve. Ahead of Duncan Rise, Ben Altrier and Mark Redford, and behind the P35 at Privateer, Jack Bolton for Grant Motorsport. That unfortunate incident cost him dear, and Darren Ills, Tom Anderson, and what was then, I do believe, Kieran Smart and Adam McNally completing your top 40. Wojciech Swierdowicz, after that mid-race instance at Copse Corner, finishing P41 in the end after having to come into the pits in order to take repair work. And well, from him, Marcel Fritsch, the WS Racing Esports driver, was your last lead lap finisher. And then finishing a lap down, we have both Riley Sheringham and Mark Sykes, the two AM drivers, having a dismal end to their day. 4 laps down for was Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing, and also was 5 laps down for Isaac Doble, and 8 laps down for Joseph Doble there. And well, I do believe they'll all be classified as finishers, as they did complete over half the race distance. The same for Jack Jeffries there for Red Grove Projects. And as we can see, Mark Kent, your 49th and last finisher, but non-finisher as that, as he did not complete over half the race distance of what was 9 laps, the Full Tilt V Motorsport. So 49 starters, and in the end, a grand total of what was 44 finishers on circuit, 47, well, in fact, 48 on lap accrual. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our racing here today at the Silverstone National Circuit. Now, what a trio of races we had. It has definitely set us up for an absolutely brilliant season ahead. And, well, it wouldn't be a NXTCC broadcast without the prospect of some post-round interviews, ladies and gentlemen. But just before that, of course, we'd just like to remind you, if you have enjoyed the broadcast today, remember, this broadcast was post-round. All the racing you've seen occurred as of Tuesday, earlier this week, on Tuesday the 12th of March. But all the broadcasts as of round 2 onwards through to the end of the season will be live. Well, if you don't want to miss them, make sure to subscribe to the official Next Gen Racing media channels of them, the YouTube and Next Gen Racing, and Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Next Gen Racing. And we will be back at approximately what will be 10 to 12 minutes time for our potential post-round interviews with some of our drivers. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss them. We'll see you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are back for our post-round interviews. And we have got 3 volunteers all willing to offer their time today to talk about their experiences in their opening round of the season in the NXTCC Season 6. And we're going to be started off by hearing from the 2 Pro-Am drivers. Firstly, Daniel Downing, who had the lion's share of the points today for Goldwing Motorsport. And then Alex Meredith for NXTGEN, who may not have had all the points, but definitely had a lot of pace. And then we're going to be hearing from our domineering driver in the AM class of Harley Bicknell for JW Motorsports on what is the arrival of the AM class, indeed his arrival on the scene in being incredibly quick indeed. But joining me right now in the interview room is none other than Daniel Downing. Good evening to you, Daniel, and well, what a day of racing you had at Silverstone in the Pro-Am class. I mean, pole position, a win in race 1 and back-to-back podiums in races 2 and 3. You couldn't ask for more, surely.
Evening, Paul. Yeah, nice to speak to you. And yeah, it was a very good start to the season for myself. I think I'm in the championship lead now. Yeah, I was quite shocked to get a pole, and I think it was P4 overall in the qualifying. So meant to show I had some pace. Yeah, very happy. It was a good start.
Oh, without a doubt. And like you say, that P4 as well, overall a circuit where it's incredibly close, literally lap times on a knife edge of hundreds and thousands, not just tenths. And just with regards to going into this season, we see you decide to go with the Hyundai Elantra for Season 6. What motivated you to stay with the car I think you picked in Season 5?
Essentially, it's just the car I've always used when TCR racing. There was a league that I started a couple years ago, where we each within the team we all had to drive one of the 3 at the time available TCRs, and I went with the Elantra, and ever since then I've just got comfortable with it, and never really thought about switching over or anything. So yeah, I think one of the important things with racing is just being comfortable in the car that you're driving, and yeah, so yeah, just kept with it basically.
I see it. Well, a sensible approach there, particularly if you're enjoying the car and finding the paces coming on through. And with regards to qualifying, I mean, we saw at the early stage of the session that it was going to be incredibly close given the Silverstone National Circuit. But the fact you're able to eke out a P4 overall in a session determined by such small margins, I mean, it seems as though you're quite comfortable at this circuit.
Yeah, it's a circuit I've always enjoyed in the officials. Yeah, and I didn't expect to be so high up. When I started the lap that put me up, I think I was about three tenths up at the time. I actually hit traffic in the last corner, lost about 2 tenths. So I was probably on for P2 if it wasn't for that. Yeah, I think I just managed to nail the lap together, and yeah, good happy result, and yeah, basically. Yeah, it was all good. I do enjoy this track for the most part, so it always brings some good racing. And yeah, with the time so tight, you know, 1 tenth can be the difference between P5 and P25. It's insane sometimes.
Oh, without a doubt, an insane performance in qualifying from yourself, echoed by an absolutely marvellous drive to victory in the first race. It looked as though you enjoyed giving a bit of battling to the pros around you, but I get the feeling as the race went on, you're more of the mindset of let's make sure we bring the most important thing home, and that's the prime win.
That was exactly it. Yeah, I mean, I need to work on my starts a little bit, because in all 3 races I would drop down the order. It takes a couple laps for me to really get into my rhythm, especially with the Elantra. It seems to take a while for everything to warm up. But yeah, you know, I'm going to try and defend my place. But after that, I just settled down, and I thought, let's just try and keep up with these guys and protect what is, as you say, the most important part of the championship for me, the Pro-Am Championship lead. And yeah, if I can get anything, you know, any more points overall from people's mistakes, I'll try and capitalize on that. But for the most part, yeah, I really want. I only just missed out on the Pro-Am Championship last year against Isaac Doble, and yeah, this season that's definitely my main mindset. Is just try and try getting as many points as I can in that, and hopefully have a good season.
Oh, well, appreciate the insight into your mindset there. And we saw more of that in race number 2, albeit a bit of a slow start to the race, plus also the maximum success balance as well. It looked as though most of race 2 was you just trying to catch up to the places you lost at the start.
Um, yeah, I think I was just dropped down quite quickly at the start of that one, and then I think I ended up just in front of Ben and Gavin, and at that point, because of the success ballast that I had, and them having little to none at that point, they were just all over me, and they eventually got past me, and I was just then trying to. They started battling themselves. I tried to get back in front of Ben, but just couldn't quite manage it. But yeah, and then yeah, sorry, yeah, not much more to say on that one. It was a good race though. I really enjoyed fighting with Ben and Gavin.
Oh, no doubt about it. No need to apologise to because you absolutely treated us some fantastic racing and more of the same in race number 3. Although I do have to ask, when the number 17 was drawn, how did you respond to that, given the fact P11 finish in race 2 meant that you would be starting at what would be P7 on the grid for the final race of the day?
Where did I start? No, I started fifth in the last race, and I think yeah, fifth. And at that point, my mindset was, I think I have the pace over the guys ahead of me, even with the ballast that I had. But I just got I just got caught by the pros behind me right at the start, and they separated me from the guys. I think it was Alex, Shane, and a couple of the others, and so I was just trying to do my best to keep up with them, but then at the same time, the pros were just all over me. Um, so yeah, and then mistakes started happening in front. I think Alex had an incident, and that got me a position, and then the Dobles seemed to just completely drop their internet or something like that, some technical issue that they had that gave me a couple more positions, and somehow still ended up on the podium again in the Pro-Am class, and even maybe depending on stewarding, may even gain another position still. So we'll see about that. But it ended up being a great race, and I enjoyed trying to keep some of the pros behind me. It's a good lesson to try and learn with the defending and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, no doubt. And I have to ask, we did see a lot of drivers in race number 3 really struggling for grip in the opening stage. It looked as though the circuit really lost a lot of temperature compared to the first 2 races. Was that a factor for yourself?
Um, it wasn't one that I particularly noticed. As I said, the first lap or two for me is always quite a struggle. Getting up to temperature with the tires and everything. So I'm always a little bit more conservative then. I know that there was a few others though that were having incidents and stuff, and my teammates had quite a bad day of that as well. But I think Sam managed to pull back a pretty decent result in the end from basically last on the grid to like 22nd or so in the last race. So yeah, it wasn't something that I particularly noticed, but yeah, it would have definitely made a bit of difference to quite a few guys on the grid, I imagine.
Well, no difference made to yourself. And again, a good congratulations there to your teammate Sam for making his way all the way through up to a P22 finish. But coming back to yourself, after 3 races in our season opener, like you say, it does provisionally put you at the top of the standings by 4 points, subject to stewards' inquiries versus Slawomir Jaworski. And well, we've got plenty more racing to come, starting with a visit to Monza as of next Tuesday. How are you feeling for the Italian Temple of Speed?
That should be interesting. I mean, thankfully, I think we're racing the layout without the first chicane. Otherwise, that may be carnage. But there is another chicane just down the road, I believe. So you never know what's going to happen there. But I do enjoy Monza, so hopefully we can get to grips with that pretty quickly, have some decent pace. I'm obviously going to be running the success ballast from the start there, so I've got to really try and up my game a bit to try and keep myself towards the front of the pro-ams. But even if I can't quite manage it because of the ballast, I've just got to try and pick up as many points as possible, and we'll see what happens in the 3 races there.
Well, it is going to be an interesting 3 races, and you've correctly stated with regards to the variant we'll be running, it will be without the first chicane, so only one chicane to worry about, but still, a chicane's a chicane. And just before I do let you go, Daniel, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
I would just mostly like to thank my amazing girlfriend for putting up with me every Tuesday night to do these races and stay up quite late sometimes to do them. And yeah, she puts up with it and very supportive. She's always in the chat, well, not in the chat necessarily, but watching the stream, cheering me on, giving me support. So yeah, a lot of thanks to her.
Well, I'm sure she'll appreciate the shout out, and indeed it's so good to hear having your girlfriend up behind you, and also the wider team at Goldwing at Motorsport. But with that, Daniel, we'll see you in Italy in what will be less than a week from now. But until then, congratulations on your phenomenal performances on the season opener, and we look forward to seeing how you can take it up a notch in Italy.
Thank you very much, Paul. Take care of yourself, mate.
So hearing it there from Daniel Downing, our Pro-Am driver who's taken what is a championship leading start to his season, and where it may only be by a few points, but still a few points or 1 point, it doesn't matter. The key points being that he set himself up for success, and as he mentioned straight away, wanting to carry on from where he left off as the runner-up in the Pro-Am Championship from Season 5, missing out at the end of the season versus Isaac Doble, but knowing going into this season that he's got a void to fill with Isaac Doble being promoted to the pro class, and doing so immediately in qualifying, and talking about the fact that a mistake in what was the end of his lap cost him 2 attempts and what could have been potentially a second place on the overall grid. Well, now that would have been something. I mean, the P4 is already something in itself, and we're going on to take the win in the first race for a very conservative approach, making sure to always keep the prime win in mind for then races at 2 and 3, working at back-to-back prime podiums with P13 and P7 overall. It's been a great start to the season for the Goldwing Motorsport driver, and definitely a lot of confidence shining through in his choice in the Hyundai Elantra based on his previous experiences and how well he gels to the car, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing more of that at Monza. But already talking about the fact with the chicanes there, the risk of instance into those heavy braking zones, but for Daniel Downing, if he can out-qualify the field like he did today, could he be on for smooth sailing, albeit dealing with that success ballast, which will rear its ugly head going into qualifying in round number 2. We're now going on to our second interview, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be hearing from what is Alex Meredith, who is going to get ready to join us in the interview room very shortly. And as he does so, I'm going to be hearing the story from the Prime driver, where it's definitely been mixed fortunes today, but still, he's kept up the racing spirit every step of the way. And as he joins me now, good evening to you, Alex. And well, firstly, it seems as though the difficulties of Season 5 continue to strike you in Season 6, at least at the season opener, but still, it hasn't knocked what I gather would be the smile off your face and your willingness to try and fight back through adversity.
Yeah, good evening, Paul. Pretty much exactly what you said. Yeah, I mean, the main thing that race has taught me is that I still love doing these championships. There's still so much fun, so much great racing through all the 3 rounds. Even with unlucky moments, it's still an absolute joy to just be part of this community and do this racing, which we all love.
100%, and that love shining through from yourself, seeing you on the grid once again, and also your love for the Hyundai Elantra, something we know very dear to you in terms of racing this TCR car above all others, being articulated in qualifying with a P14 overall and a P5 in the Prime class.
Yeah, qualifying was a bit of a mixed bag, really. I got a decent lap early on, which was quite lucky because I know a lot of people were like down to the last minute before they got a proper lap in. But I had a little bit of misfortune at the end where I'm not sure who it was, but they were just setting up their lap, and I was just going to finish mine, and I was 2 tenths up, and we basically crossed path, and yeah, I got a contact warning, so that pretty much screwed over my my lap. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag, but overall P14's better than I was having, the first season I did. So yeah, not too bad.
Well, going from what was a mixed bag, like you say, in qualifying to the first race, we did see at the start it got very nip and tuck for the opening couple of quarters, and by the end of the open lap, seemed as though you were fighting more and more for the right to stay inside the top 20. A P9 finishing class in the end, a P19 overall. Looked as though race 1 was all about survival.
Yeah, well, I didn't survive in race 1, so that went well for me. Yeah, to be honest, race 1, I was just basically following Russell Fowler. Basically, the whole race, I think it was P15, I think it was in. And then I eventually made the move late on in the race, caught up to the pack ahead of me, and then we sort of all got bunched up into this second corner. And I broke a bit too early, I think, trying to avoid the 2 cars ahead. And then Ben Altria was going down the inside, so we made contact. He apologised straight away afterwards, and yeah, it was pretty much a racing incident. So not too annoyed about that one, and still managed to get some points on the table.
Well, absolutely fair. Some key points being taken from race 1 and going into race number 2. Looked as though more of the same, a P7 finishing class, P17 overall, but some great battles to be had along the way.
Yeah, race 2 was pretty fun, to be fair. Got a little bit caught up in the lap 1 melee at turn 1. Felt a little bit squeezed and a little bit unlucky there. Had a bit of suspension damage, as I normally do in a next-gen race. Yeah, just fighting back through the field. Had some nice battles with my teammates, Lee Horn and Matthew Addy. Couple of close calls, but overall race 2 is pretty fun, and obviously put me in a good position for race 3.
Indeed, and we do have to come on to race number 3, as much as it pains us to talk about it, in the fact leading for what was the best part of 13 laps of the race, and it looked as though at the race start things were really coming together after what was a close run into the opening couple of quarters, but the pace was there and it was all looking under control.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure what happened second half of race 3. For the first half, I felt like I had decent pace. I was pulling away 1.1 seconds, I think the gap was after lap 3. So I was looking at that gap going, all right, maybe I can do a breakaway from the pack and just have an easy race. But this is next gen and there's not such thing as an easy race. So the guy behind really caught up to me, Semper Racing, and we had some good little battles into obviously the inevitable. And then lap 13, yeah, I went down into Luffield. I felt like I'd covered off the inside line. He went for a gap that personally I don't think was there, but you know, that's the steward's decision what they're going to think of it. And yeah, I got tapped around, so yeah, bit of a shame.
Indeed, it was unfortunate the two of you coming together in the way it played out, but still, come the end of the race, fighting back through and having some battling at the end with Stuart Wyness and Akram Zanoon. But once again, I suspect having to fight with a slightly wounded suspension at that, but still the racing spirit never going away.
Yeah, I mean, the final few laps was, I'm going to say rage-fueled. I was going for some outrageous moves around the outside of Luffield and things like that. Yeah, obviously driving on sort of adrenaline and anger. But yeah, fueling that into positive pace and like overtaking maneuvers. Yeah, they were pretty fun battles actually at the end. I had some good ones with the iRace esports guys as well, so thanks to them as well for the clean racing.
Indeed, there might have been a little bit of anger in there, but look, you turned it in to positivity. It's a great racing, like you say, as we take a look at back some of that on the replay cameras here. And well, after the first round of the season, whilst perhaps not all the points have come your way, still it's a provisional P5 in the championship after one round. We've still got 9 rounds to go, and in a week's time, we're heading to Monza for round number 2. How are you feeling for a visit to Italy?
Well, last time we went to Monza, it didn't end too well for me. But yeah, that's in the past, so we look forward. Any race in next gen, as everyone knows, anything can happen. And yeah, just take the opportunities as they come. Sorry. And then yeah, just try and rack up some more points. Try and get up the table a little bit more. Obviously, I started the season worse last last season, going P7 in the standings. So it's progression. I'm going to keep progressing, and yeah, just see what comes.
Well, we look forward to that progress as the season goes on, starting with Monza in a week's time. And just before we do let you go, Alex, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, everybody watching, my parents included, always committed to watching my races, which I really appreciate. Also, NXTGEN for sort of just letting me into their team. I joined pretty late, so yeah, wasn't really expecting much in terms of teams, but Jamie and Mark messaged me just saying if I wanted to join. I gladly did because it's just such a pleasure to be part of this community, as I said. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And oh yeah, sorry. And of course, you, Paul, for your consistent commentary for 4 hours.
Oh, it's a pleasure as always to have you join me in the interview, Alex, and congratulations once again on a great, defiant set of results despite it all. And well, your time will come in the sun, there's no doubt about it, and hopefully we'll get to see more of the pace come to the table at Monza. But until then, congratulations once again, and thank you for joining me in the interview room.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good evening.
So hearing there from Alex Meredith, the prime driver today, who definitely I think will feel as though he was bustled and jolted left, right and centre and couldn't quite have the luck he would like compared to the way it perhaps went for some of his rivals, but still turning all the negativity into positivity, and we saw that throughout the racing, where it be the P5 in qualifying, in the class P14 overall, alternatively when it went wrong all the way in race number 3, being removed from the lead of the race and in the end having to take a P17 finish overall and P9 in class. But the key thing for Alex Meredith is in the fact he's definitely showing the pace, he's showing the nuance in the Hyundai Elantra, and he's just got to hit his stride. And when he does so, I get the feeling, much like Daniel Downing today, Alex Meredith is going to be one of those drivers right up there contesting the podium and the wins time and time again. But how will it go at Monza? Given the fact last time he raced there back in season 4, it struck him hard. It wasn't a round of racing that went well, but perhaps the second time of visiting the circuit, it's going to be better fortunes for him. Well, only time will tell for the NXTGEN racing driver. But now coming on to our final interview, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be hearing from what will be our AM driver of Harley Bicknell, who gets ready to join me in the interview room. And we're going to be hearing the story of our AM debutant, who's definitely had a fantastic start to his season. Whereas he gets ready to join me in the interview room. When he does do so now, good evening to you, Harley, and what a way to start off your AM Championship campaign. 2 wins in the class, plus a pole position, and also all 3 races podiums. I mean, you could have perhaps done slightly better, some would say, with all 3 wins, but it's not bad considering it all.
Yeah, glass half empty, Paul. Yeah, could have won that second race, but yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed it. It was great racing all throughout, and yeah, it was just good to return after a few weeks off, I think, and get back stuck into the racing.
Well, speaking of getting stuck in, it definitely looked as though all the way throughout you were looking at to just literally tear up the asphalt in front of you and go all in this new AM class. And talking about qualifying firstly, looked as though you were very comfortable in the Hyundai Elantra out on the grid, and that qualifying position of P21 looking as though it was quite a way clear compared to your peers. But how was qualifying for you?
Yeah, I just I was a bit scared about qualifying, to be honest, with 50 odd cars on a 60-second lap. It's always going to be difficult, but just managed to find a good gap. I didn't have anyone in front of me, so I didn't have a tow, but I think for me it was better in some ways because there were no distractions or anything. So I just got some consistent laps in. I like the Elantra; it's really predictable. So yeah, I had a really good quali. Was really happy with where I qualified. I was also then a bit scared for the race because I knew that I'd have quicker guys behind me. But yeah, successful quali for sure.
Well, that's successful qualifying going into race number 1. And speaking of that, being scared of drivers around you, we did see you have quite a few tussles with primes, and that seemed to be the theme of your evening. It was more time spent battling with the primes than it was your fellow AM drivers, but it wasn't as though you were going to let them have it all their own way.
No, definitely not. I think that's the thing you have to do, being in a lower class, and that's what we'll learn this season is just choosing your battles wisely. knowing who to fight. You know, there's some drivers that get their elbows out a bit more than others, and I think if they're in a different class, you know, you don't want to fight too much, but you know, it's instinct. You know, you're not going to roll over and just let them past. So yeah, race one was after the good quali. I was always going to move backwards, and I knew that going into it. So it was about sort of accepting that, letting the people through that I knew I couldn't battle with, that I would lose time battling with. And I think the difficulty here is if one person goes past you, once you're offline, a lot of others will try and come through, and people will stick their nose in. So you have to just, I guess, get overtaken safely, pick and choose your battles, and know that there's going to be incidents as well, and that you'll gain places through that. And that was how race one went, really, for me.
Well, race one, it seems to be quite safe and conservative, but a win with it. And then race number two, it started off relatively straightforward, and then very quickly saw you having to make a recovery drive.
Yeah, there was quite a big incident with a rejoin, and it caught quite a lot of people out, and I had to take sort of big avoiding action off onto the grass. So I didn't have any damage, so that was good. But it did put me right back to, I don't know, it's probably about P40 or something. But I really enjoyed race two. It was really good coming back through. It was a good chance to move forwards. It was a very different dynamic to race one. So made a few on-track overtakes through the Anfield, and incidents ahead as well gave me places. And yeah, lots of good battles. It's a difficult track to overtake on, but just the incidents and stuff mean that you can always move forward. So I think it's good that, you know, you have to just keep your head up if you have an early incident, and know that you're going to gain places, especially with the 3 classes this season. There's always something to battle for, I think, across the field.
Oh, without a doubt. And speaking of moving forward, we saw more of that in race number 3, albeit only 1 place to gain in class to go for your second victory of the day, but still progress back to P23 come the end of it.
Yeah, I felt really good. Race 3 was where I felt the best in the car. I think just felt confident driving around people. I think this track's definitely one that plays to my strengths, because I think where I struggle is just the 1 lap pace compared to the other drivers. But I think in a pack, you know, I feel quite good driving side by side with people and keeping it clean. So, and I think that this track really played into my hands with that. And yeah, race 3 was really good. Just kept my nose clean the whole race, really. And again, you know there's going to be incidents ahead, so it's about picking and choosing battles, not taking anything too silly. Got passed a couple of times by people that were quicker than me, but you know, I didn't make any silly mistakes in the process, and yeah, it got me the AM win in the end.
Or indeed, it's a 2 AM win today, plus also a second place, and well, with that, an absolute lion's share of the points. I mean, after 1 round, you're leading provisionally by the best part of 36 points over Mark Sykes, and we head to Monza for round number 2 in a week's time. Could we expect a similar situation there, or do you feel as though a little bit of success ballast and a change of scenery might shake things up?
Yeah, I think it'll be a different dynamic. I mean, Monza's going to be an interesting one, especially without the chicane. It's a really long straight. I think bit of teamwork might be important, especially in quali. People trying to get a good toe, it's going to make a huge difference. I'm not sure really with Monza. It's difficult for me to know. I haven't raced there before. It's the same with every track that we come to, really. I'm just sort of learning each track week by week. But I think, again, it will just be trying to keep my nose clean. There's going to be a lot of dive bombs. There's a lot of heavy braking zones there, so you know that people are going to be sending it in. So it's just, I think, having that awareness, knowing when someone's going to send it, and if they're not going to make the corner, making sure that you can pull up and switch back on them. And of course, trying to get in the toe of people, which is usually what I struggle with because I can't keep up over 1 lap. So I think it'll be a lot about quali and whether I can get a good toe. Hopefully one of my my teammates will help me out a bit there.
Well, we do look forward to seeing how it plays out for yourself and the wider JW Motorsports team at Monza in a week's time. But just before I do let you go, Harley, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, the JWM guys are great. They took me into the team last season, and I was completely new to sim racing at the time. So no experience at all, and they've really helped me. I don't think I'd have made the progress I have without them. And we just have a good laugh, you know. It's good fun. They're good company to be around while we race. So we take it semi seriously. You know, we want to do well. You want to have good battles and stuff, but ultimately we just want to have good side by side racing. The results are secondary, really. You know, I just want to have good battles on track. I don't really care whether I'm down in P40 or fighting further up. I just want to have those good battles with people across the field, and I think that's what the JWM boys are all about. So thanks to them.
Well, absolutely love to hear the spirit in amongst the team and also your attitude to the racing as well. And I think many new drivers to touring car racing can definitely learn from the approach you're taking. But with that, Harley, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview room. Congratulations once again on picking up a triplet of podiums, including 2 wins today. And we look forward to plenty more from yourself at Monza in a week's time.
Thanks so much, Paul. Cheers.
So hearing there from our final interview today, Harley Bicknell, the AM class driver for JW Motorsports, absolutely flying high for JWM today, no doubt about it. Were pole position, that was definitely hard earned, albeit doing it in clear air, which was interesting to his perspective there, preferring to do the qualifying in clear air compared to in the slipstream, and just amazed that he could find some space out there. And as many of you may remember, when we talked about qualifying, the fact that with the best part of 50 cars sandwiched into a lap of only 1.64 miles, that's just over a minute, it's very hard to find any space, but he managed to find it and leverage it to his advantage, and from there everything else followed. Albeit race number 2 being a slight blip in the run of racing results today, but at the same time as well for Harley Bicknell, definitely a demonstration of what he can bring to the table. And if he wasn't leading up front, he was fighting his way through to victory. And well, could more victories come his way at Monza? He seems to feel as though the dynamic there is going to be different and slipstream is going to be key, and no doubt about it at the Italian tempo of speed. But if he keeps this up, he definitely could be earning himself early favourite status in the championship after round number 2. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews for today. You've heard from 3 of our drivers, and those being firstly Daniel Downing, the Goldwing Motorsport driver in the Prime class. We then heard from Alex Meredith, the Next Gen Racing driver, also in the Prime class. And then lastly, we just heard from Harley Bicknell from JW Motorsports in the AM class. Congratulations to all 3 of the drivers for their performances at the Silverstone circuit. It's been great to see them join the racing out there, and what an absolute pleasure to have them all in the interview room one by one. And we look forward to seeing plenty more from them and the wider field in a week's time at Monza. But with that, it is now time for us to give you an update on the Provisional Championship standings after 1 round of racing. And starts off with the overall Drivers' Championship standings, the top 15, as we can see, Wojciech Swierdowicz leads by 15 points, but that late instant in race number 3 definitely upsetting the momentum of the Semper Racing driver. Indeed, many a driver having their results shuffled as a result of that, and Swierdowicz not perhaps having the advantage he would have liked coming out of race number 1. But he leads ahead of Adam Delmont, whose consistency is to be rewarded, and it's rewarded with P2, 2 points clear of Wayne Douglas. The Douglas Motorsport Next Gen driver also showing a great run of form in all 3 races, and that's why he's in P3, a point ahead of Jamie Dorry, with Luciano Vitford a further point behind to complete the top 5. The unfortunate disconnection for the Doble brothers, Mikey Dole being impacted there to drop to P6 after what could have been another result to keep him royal in sight of the top 3, so therefore he's got some work to do in a week's time, with then what is none other than Slavomir Jaworski, the leading Prime driver, P7 and 104 points, and with the best part of 16 ahead of Benjamin McCluskey. The second place Prime driver Daniel Downing P9 there ahead of Gavin Gardner, and then outside the top 10 Shane Pigott only outside the top 10 based on result countback versus Gavin Gardner, but the Prime drivers of Wojciech Jaworski, also Downing and Pigott all taking the fight to their pro peers, and we look forward to plenty more of that at Monza, with Isaac Doble, Adam McNally, Matthew Sheraton and Alex Meredith completing your top 15 overall standings. We'll then come to the Prime class, and this is where the points are adjusted specifically for the Prime finishing positions. And as we can see, Daniel Downing at 4 points clear of Slavomir Javoski. And whilst the margin may only be 4 points, still at the same time as well, a question of a stewarding verdict regarding the contact between Javoski and Alex Meredith in race number 3. And well, that could open up the gap slightly, but at the same time as well, Downing will know that it's just the first step in a long campaign, and he'll have the pressure on him from his Semper Racing counterpart. Because if it's not coming from the Semper Racing driver, it's also coming from the Ace of Spades driver, Shane Pigott, whose consistent run of form today was well rewarded in the final race of the day, and he'll be feeling confident. More is to come, as will Adam McNally and Alex Meredith, P4, P5 respectively. Point outside the top 5, it's Ben Altria, whose misfortune in race number 3 definitely has taken away some of the steam from his ship, but at the same time as well, he feels like he can bring it back together at Monza for Full Tilt V Motorsport. Then Russell Fowler, P7, in a mixed set of fortunes today. He would have been hoping for a little bit more, but still a P7 start and 4 points off of the top 6. He'll take that as he sits 2 points clear of both Matthew Addy and Matthew Sheraton. The two Matthews battling hard on the circuit all day today, and will separated only by result countback. At Kremsnoon, P10, and then holding on by 87 points. Well, from there to the 80 points of Piotr Jegoslewski, who is best of the rest. And there's Sam Smith, John Higgins Jr., Luke Jones, and Ian Manners, who complete your top 15 in the Prime class. And then we come on to the AM Drivers' Championship, and here we can see the story is that out of our 14 drivers, Harley Bicknell is your leader, and what a start to the season he has had with the 2 wins and the 2nd place, plus the pole position. It means he's got a 36-point advantage over 2nd place Mark Sykes. Sykes, meanwhile, doing very well today, and with what was that pair of 2nd place finishes in races 1 and 2, where he's carved himself a 12-point advantage over Daniel Fritz with the Australian driver there. Right now feeling positive, especially with that result in the final race of the day, and knowing more's to come with Gabriel Yilmaz baying after him in P4. 2 points between them, and it's a further forward to Craig Tillotson with the P5 driver there for Fusion Racing at 9. If he built home a podium today, perhaps it could have been inside the top 3, but still, that's a big what-if question, and he'll be focusing on the positives in the present, and that is his results today, meaning he can go hunting in the next round of racing. Jonathan Collins, only a point behind him, meanwhile, will also be taking confidence in his stride after that 2nd place finish in our final race of the day, with then Darren Hills, Riley Sheringham, Kurt Smith, and then we can see Mark Kent completing your top 10. And coming up from our drivers there in terms of the, not Smith, my apologies, Kieran Smart, I should say, and then Mark Kent, P10, and then as we can see, what is Costa Chats Continental, P11 on 0 points, much like what is there. None other than Ricky Edwards, also Roy Plummer and Vilmos Blau, as all 4 drivers not on the grid today, and we look forward to seeing them on the grid for round number 2. That concludes the provisional standings of the Drivers' Championships, and then coming on to the Teams' Championship, the top 10 here, where we look to your top 3 firstly, and Next Gen Pink, the Teams' champions from Season 5. They start off on leading form by 19 points over Semper Racing, and then SRL with Next Gen Gold, a sizable, what is further, well, I do believe that is the best part of 47 points behind, and the top 2 already started to break away. However, SRL with Next Gen Gold, they're only 13 points clear of Double Sim Racing, with VB Fusion in the world of racing sitting P5 ahead of Next Gen, and it's Goldwing Motorsport, Ace of Spades Racing, iRacing Esports, and Full Tilt V Motorsport complete your top 10. But indeed, it's only the first round, and these Teams Championship standings, well, we're going to need a few rounds before we start to see any favourites emerge. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's broadcast, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the Next Gen Racing community in terms of the series we run and how you can be on the grid for our ongoing or upcoming series, well, for all that and more, we do recommend you firstly head to our official website, that's nextgenracing.co.uk, and as the website appears on screen, it's the home of clean and fair sim racing for all, and there's never been a better time to join the Next Gen Racing community in 2024 as we go from strength to strength and continue to host our regular series on iRacing, including the NXTCC and also our GT3 and Prototype Championships, and we also expand into the world of R Factor 2 of our upcoming inaugural season, full season that is, of the British Touring Car Championship. Well, all that and more can be found out about on the official Next Gen Racing website. But if you don't want to go there, perhaps you're more of a social media person, then we definitely recommend checking out our Facebook group. That's at facebook.com/groups/NextGen Racing, where you can find out all the similar details available on our website, but also a little bit more about the guys and girls behind the scenes that make up Next Gen Racing, with a good number of our staff members and admin members being trackside marshals in real life, if not real life racing drivers. We'd also like to take this moment to say a big thank you to our sponsors, who include PowerMax, Next Level Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Joyce Design, Sam Cases, Douglas Motorsport and Benji Sim Photos, and also to our title sponsor for this season, the sim racing company and real life racewear company of IMB Racewear. And well, they are the sim racing and real life racing racewear provider that prides itself on individuality with their fully custom designs, enabling you to make the impact you have always wanted to on track, as it is designed for you by you. Do head to their website imbracewear.com to find out more about IMB Racewear's fully customizable product range, which brings benefits you just cannot get from off-the-shelf products. And well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, the tempo has been set and the tide begins to stride its way forward as we make our way into round number 2. Set the clocks, set the calendar for Tuesday the 19th of March 2024, as we'll be live from circuit side in Italy to kick off what will be the attack from all the drivers at the Italian Temple of Speed. But who will be the one to observe the speed the most and take on through to victory? We'll have to wait and see across all 3 of our classes, and we'll find out then. But until then, we've been Next Gen Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. Until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, have a fantastic weekend ahead, and most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.